And welcome to the opening drive on 101 ESPN in St. Louis with Brooke Grimsley and Kerry Davis. I'm Randy Carricker. Great to have you with us. At 7 o'clock, your time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. Glad you're listening on the radio or listening on the app or just watching us on the old YouTube channel. Go to youtube.com and type in 101 ESPN STL, and you will be able to see the opening drive and all of our shows today. Brooke, how was your weekend?
My weekend was great.
Saw the Barbie movie, eh?
I did. I don't want to spoil it for everybody. Yes. Two big thumbs up.
Okay,
yes,
good.
It was fantastic. I loved the movie.
Good. Like that, CD?
I just relaxed. It was a great day for sleeping.
A lot of those lately in St. Louis. Huh?
Thumbs up
there
for
we
that.
go.
Big time. Yeah, it's fun to doze off and
stay asleep.
Heck, if you're watching the Cardinal game.
Oh, well, yeah, you might want to. You don't have to watch that sometimes.
Hey, you can doze off.
You really can.
It's a good thing, like yesterday when they didn't score any runs.
Oh, yeah, it happens.
Yeah, finished a 3-7 homestand with a 1-0 loss to the Colorado Rockies. And by the way,
there was some sunshine lollipops, though.
Oh, yeah. Well, heck yeah, because we got a dude. You know, everybody talks about you got to have a dude. Well, for the 2024 season, Cardinals apparently have their dude, and his name is Zach Thompson. He went 4 innings. Oh, by the way, he had been sent out to stretch out as a starter after being the Cardinals' best lefty reliever early in the season. And then he stretched out to be a starter, and they brought him back as reliever. Kind of a weird thing. And then they said, well, we really aren't going to tell him what he's going to do next year until after the season. We're just kind of...
That's the best way to go about life.
Yeah, I think...
go to work and not know what your role is.
Yeah, to paraphrase, we're going to jerk him around for a while. And then we'll tell him it's spring training next year.
He'll figure it out. He's a smart guy.
He did go 4 innings yesterday. He allowed 1 run on 2 hits, walked 1, and struck out 8.
Great day for baseball, and you can take a look at Zach Thompson right here, getting his first start of the year.
Go Ryan McMahon. He's had an impressive run of late. He's hit a homer in this series. There's the big bender. That's what makes Thompson so good, but it starts with fastball command, Jim. And 2 up, 2 down.
Definitely starts with fastball command, and he's got look out for that.
Look at that breaking ball. Let's see what Kisner calls for here. He sets up away. Good target. Strike 3. It was away, but a fastball.
Great job by Kiz right here, just looking for a fastball away. Also, too, he's fouled off the fastball.
He's totally a #1 pick out of UCLA. A much better hitter left-handed rather than right. And he takes strike 3. 4 punch-outs. Well, what's your choice with a 2-strike count here?
Breaking ball.
Wrong. Fastball. He struck out the side. Here in 2023. But if Zach keeps doing that, man, oh, man, he's staking a claim today with his 6th strikeout. He's gotten Jones, a good hitter, twice.
He wound up with 8. Chip and Jim with the call yesterday on Bally Sports. And Zach Thompson talked about his effort.
Yeah, just, went out and had fun with kids. Just stuck to my plan, attacked the zone, and good things happened for the most part.
Now, interestingly, his plan may not have necessarily come from the Cardinals. What's he doing?
I would argue my slider might be my best command pitch. Clayton Kershaw has left a pretty good blueprint for fastball, curveball, slider, lefty. So just trying to follow his lead a little bit.
I think that's a really good idea. Follow Clayton Kershaw's lead.
It's one of the best pitchers to play the game. Now, it makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to be great, you follow greatness. You pay attention to what the people before you that are great, what they did, and generally that'll help you in your path to greatness.
I agree. I think that's a good game plan moving forward for him.
It is. Now the Cardinals, with this loss, they're 2 games behind the Pirates. They're in last place in the National League Central. It really doesn't look like they're going to be much better than 4th place in the division. However, this is a good thing. Colorado only has 44 wins. They have 5 fewer wins than the Cardinals, even though they took 2 of 3 over the weekend. So the Cardinals probably will not finish with the worst record in the league, which is something they haven't done since like 1909, I believe.
That's a low bar, Randy.
Yeah.
That's the lowest of bars that I can ever recall.
We aren't the worst.
Does that make us feel better?
Oh, just a tad bit.
We are 15 games under 500. Is that correct?
No. Is anybody looking at that, CD?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Well,
we're trying to forget about that.
It's been a while since the Cardinals finished 15 games under 500.
That's not great.
No.
Do you know how many times I've actually looked at the baseball standings this year?
I'm looking at them right now.
It's shockingly low.
We're dead last.
Like if I didn't
division.
need the number at the moment because of something for this job, I haven't really like peaked at the central standings this entire season because I'm like, there's no point. They've been out of it since the get-go, and they've never got into it.
Well, you got a race, though, atop the NL Central because Milwaukee is a game and a half ahead of the Cubs and the struggling Reds. We'll call them the struggling Reds.
Falling off.
But the Pirates are not going to win the World Championship.
Come on.
So the Cardinals lose. They have a day off today. They're not going to score any runs today either.
Good for them. That's a good thing.
Yeah, but then they get to go to Tampa, and maybe they can, Zach Thompson talked about a blueprint that he has. Maybe they can look at a blueprint. Get to see our old buddy Randy Arozarena for the next 3 days, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
That's not going to feel
That's
good.
exciting, right?
And then 2 days in Kansas City.
That
I
should
don't
be
think there's anything
encouraging.
to learn there.
Well, they're 36 and 77.
You learn about yourself.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're looking internally.
Look
Looking
internally.
internally.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes sense.
Mason Wynn was removed from Springfield's game yesterday for a precautionary reason to avoid further injury. Don't know what the first injury was, but that is the story. Mason Wynn taken out of the game. Hopefully he'll get healthy and wind up here in St. Louis.
What do you need, another week? Is that what we said, August 15th?
Yeah, get that. I think the injury might have been a back.
When did that happen?
About a week back.
Oh, my gosh.
6.
Yep.
No.
There we go.
No, and it was a glute strain.
Right, that's on the back
Mild
side.
glute strain.
Back-ish.
I'm trying to get away from the back stuff. It's a
So
glute
all connected.
strain.
Look, it's all
I don't want
connected
it to
back
be
there.
It's all
connected.
tied
I don't
together.
want it to be connected.
So basically, he's got a pulled butt. It happens. Lionel Messi continued his magic last night in Frisco, Texas. He scored the first and last goals for Inter Miami in a 4-4 draw against FC Dallas. And he then converted his spot on the shootout as Inter Miami went on to advance in the League's Cup. And he is amazing. I was telling Matthew earlier, he's kind of like the 6-year-old that's the best player in the 6-year-old
It's
soccer.
ridiculous watching him against the other kids.
Yeah,
It's like,
exactly.
what is this?
He's really good.
Where'd you guys get this ringer from? He is leading the team. He is tied for the team leading goals
It's amazing.
in 4 games.
And they started-
the guy that's tied with him is 27 games in.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy.
It's fun, though. So good for Lionel Messi. Is it Lionel? Little Train. Little Train Messi.
It's just messy.
Lionel would be the, I guess, Argentinian way to pronounce it. Lionel
Okay.
would be the American way.
And sad news from Australia or New Zealand, the USA women's soccer team did not win the Women's World Cup, which is kind of sad because we kind of expected that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
It is. But
The game was in Melbourne.
Melbourne, Australia.
Melbourne.
I thought you were
There
gonna
we go.
give us, I will remember.
Oh, we can do that.
Oh.
There we go. The USA women's soccer team, which had medaled in every single Women's World Cup in history, is not going to medal this year, having fallen to Sweden in penalty kicks after a 0-0 battle. They were apparently psyched out by the Swedish goaler. And they'll try again in 4 years with apparently a new coach.
Brady, they lost by a millimeter.
It happens. They lost?
Does it
by-
really?
They-
How often does that really happen?
Here's the thing.
Even Dyson was short by like 5 or 6 inches.
Did they do the penalty kicks?
Yes.
Did they, okay, they did the penalty kicks in the sport's biggest venue platform, right?
Yes.
They did penalty kicks. It's kind of like the NHL doing shootouts for the third round of the playoffs, or the NFL doing field goal kicks for the AFC and NFC championship games, or and the NBA doing a free throw shooting competition for
Devil's advocate.
yeah.
An NHL hockey team is 4 lines deep, and an NFL football team has 40. How many? 50 active players, 48 active players, and
53, 55 maybe.
Is it not a
I
war?
can't remember how many you had active for actual game day.
Shouldn't it be a war of attrition?
Yeah, it's 48.
Did they not
you can't
watch?
sub people out after
46.
a certain point. You had a limited sub, so you can't just play for like 190 minutes. These
Why?
guys are because they're running like 5 miles.
Make it
They're
10.
gonna run.
Make it.
Can't you?
They're gonna run a half marathon.
I see a lot of people with 13.1 stickers on their
so many
cars.
stickers, Randy. We're gonna have to give the entire team just sticker their entire car half the time.
No, 13.1.
Exactly.
And maybe
Yeah,
26.2. I see it all the time.
You can't do it to them. It would murder.
That is a
them.
lot of running.
It would murder
That is.
them.
I see Kenyans running in the Olympics and winning the marathon all the time.
They
Don't
need
got
to
a
be
ball
playing
at their
soccer.
feet.
Come on, just play by the rules until the end.
You don't like
till the time runs out, but then you get extra time.
You don't like the moment that I mean, it's heart racing. Yeah, that you get in penalty kicks. It's that moment when you don't know if they're gonna blast it over like Rapinoe or some crazy moment with the VAR is going to happen with the millimeter goal to win it all.
So you would have rather seen shootouts than Pat Maroon beating Dallas in double overtime.
I'd rather have seen shootouts yesterday morning than watching the entire United States women's national team and the Swedish team walking as they try to score a goal in the 175th minute.
Nothing wrong with walking.
Doesn't
at that point they probably would be walking.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Like,
there was a lot of
running.
a kerfuffle about their performance, right?
God,
yeah, a lot of drama.
Just because they lost.
You'll be able to hear Taylor Twellman on with McKernan tomorrow. Not too happy about it, I'm sure, because he was banty all over Twitter.
What are we doing here?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Also, Julie Ertz possibly retiring.
I think she called it quits, right?
Yeah, insinuating that this will probably be her last time playing.
Good.
I don't know. That sucks. That's a big part of that era. Alex Morgan hasn't indicated if she's going to retire yet. I doubt that she would.
And Rapinoe will not be back.
No, I don't think so.
But what
some people say that, and then they still come back.
Well, that's true. Michael Phelps did that, right?
Yeah.
But what a great legacy those women leave for young women in sports, but just for American sports in general. That program has been so dominant, and they've done such a great job. So congratulations to them on the run they had. I'm not going to denigrate them for a 0-0 tie where they should have played by the rules until the end because they would have won. They would have Sweden. You think Sweden can run with us? Come on, give me a break. So anyway, that's what we got. We're off and running here on 101 ESPN. Next up, 3 things we loved about the weekend. Well, it's actually 6 things total, but it's coming your way on 101 ESPN. Man, having a celebrity green from Clubhouse Turf in your backyard really can help your golf game. If you can get out into the backyard every night during weekends and improve your short game by being able to putt every single night, it makes such a huge difference. And a celebrity green from Clubhouse Turf provides you that opportunity to get real grass performance from a synthetic green that rolls true. And not only can you help out your putts, but chipping and pitching and bunker shots. All you need to do is call Clubhouse Turf in St. Louis Lewis, 314-834-2343, or go to clubhouseturf.com. And in addition to the tour quality celebrity greens, Clubhouse Turf can also help you out with a complete line of synthetic turf installations like a sport turf and playgrounds, pet turf and lawn turf. If you're having trouble just keeping your grass growing and you just want to have a great place for your pets, get in touch with clubhouseturf.com at 314-834-2343, and they'll come up with a great plan for you to have a synthetic turf put down in your backyard. Try them out. Check them out and see what they do online at clubhouseturf.com, and then get it installed in your backyard. A celebrity green from Clubhouse Turf at 314-834-2343. It's time for three things we loved about the weekend here on the opening drive on 101 ESPN. Let's get started with Brooke Grimsley.
All right, my number two thing from this weekend, guys, is going to be Steven Matz. Steven Matz, I'm looking for sunshine and lollipops. We were talking about what are they playing for right now. I don't know, just something. There we go.
There you go.
I'm looking for a rainbow right now. Maybe that's Steven Matz. The sunshine can be Steven Matz. You're just looking for anything that gives you just a teensy bit of hope for next season, right? And it was just another encouraging start for him. The Cardinals have gone 5-1 in the 6 games that Matz has started since he's rejoined the starting rotation since July 9th. He's allowed only 1 run over his last 3 starts, covering 18 innings. It's just encouraging right now for Steven Matz. You want to root for the guys, of course, to do well, do better, especially when we're trying to figure out what this starting rotation will look like. I think that it's encouraging that he can continue to build off of that hot July.
Very nice. My number 2 is going to be Zach Thompson in his start yesterday. 8 strikeouts, 4 innings pitched. We were talking about it off air. You know, maybe the Cardinals were sending him down because he wasn't doing their philosophy. They needed him to be more of a pitch-to-contact pitcher, and he was just striking guys out. And they were so frustrated with that they said, you know what, we're not going to let you play until you actually do what we want you to do. Mm-hmm. And he just said, you know what, there's a guy out in L.A. that's been doing it a long time and doing it really well. I'm going to follow his lead. I'm going to strike guys out. And then the Cardinals said, you know what, I guess we do need guys that have swing and miss stuff, so we're going to put you in the lineup. We're going to put you in the starting rotation, give you an opportunity. And he went out and he did a fantastic job yesterday. 8 strikeouts, 5 in the first 2 innings. You only need 6 in the first 2 innings, correct? Yeah. So he got 5 of those guys to swing and miss. And so for me, looking forward, I think that's something to give you a little bit of excitement as you look for 2024. Guys, if he can continue.
If he can continue, right. I always appreciate the memorable Hall of Fame speech, and I thought DeMarcus Ware was brilliant on Saturday. Former Cowboy and Bronco, telling his whole story, and what an incredible story it is for him to get to where he got to the Hall of Fame, but playing the way he did in the NFL and escaping the traps that were set for him as a child, and to make his way through high school and make his way through Troy and make his way to the NFL and be as successful as he is. What a touching story. And if you get the opportunity to check out DeMarcus Ware's speech, check it out, because it really is touching. And it's one of the things, as much distaste as we have for the National Football League's business side, man, there are some great stories of guys that do great things and really pull themselves up by their bootstraps. And DeMarcus Ware is one of those guys.
Yeah, that's great.
Number 1.
Number 1 for me, guys, and Randy, you teased this a little bit earlier, the Barbie movie. The Barbie movie was fantastic. I absolutely loved it. I couldn't wait to see it, and I finally got to see it this weekend. David came along with me, and so
Did he enjoy it?
He enjoyed it. He thought it was hilarious. He thought it was great. I think that there's been so much... There's been so much going on outside of in media, people talking about if this is, too much of a feminist movie. I thought it was hilarious. It didn't take itself too seriously. Margot Robbie was fantastic as stereotypical Barbie, as she called herself. Jeez. And Ryan Gosling as Ken was fantastic, too. I just thought it was a great movie. It was a great way to break things down, and I enjoyed it. I thought it was hilarious. It was fun. I enjoyed every bit of it.
I want to see it. And Carrie and I both think that you could have just stopped after Margot Robbie was fantastic.
You could have stopped right there. We agree. We agree.
Can't wait to see it, though. And you know what? It drives me crazy. And, Brooke, you were talking about this before, about the movie, before we came on the air. People that make a judgment about a movie before they've seen it or know what it's like. And, just go out and check it out.
Just go see it.
It's Barbie, for God's sake.
That's what I said. And everybody gets kind of like their little terms because there's different Barbies and Kens. Mm. And so I called myself Sportscaster Barbie. Okay. And David likes to go skiing, so I called him Aspen Ken. So, Carrie, you are Super Bowl champ Ken. Okay. And Randy, you are Megamind Trivia Ken.
Okay.
And then Rocchio, what are you? What would you like to be? History Ken. History Nut Ken.
There we go.
He loves his history.
What about Hair Ken?
Hair Ken.
You cut your hair off, though. You got a haircut.
It still looks fantastic.
It does, but it was so much more before.
You got to change things up. It was a little hot.
I understand.
Now we get some cold weather, so. No, I'm not going this short again. I saw a picture of myself from like 2 weeks ago. I immediately regretted it.
My number 2, so you all know I love boxing, and last week I got to watch Bud Crawford and Errol Spence. Bud knocked him out in the 9th round, and so I got to watch a fight this weekend where a guy knocked a guy out in the 6th round. I mean, the 6th inning. Jose Ramirez and Tim Anderson throwing hands at second base in Cleveland. Tim Anderson, rule number 1 to Fight Club, don't talk about Fight Club. Rule number 2, keep your hands up, man. You got punched in the face and got knocked out. It's not okay. It's not okay when you were the aggressor in the fight. When you are the one that threw your glove down, put your hands up,
it was hockey for a second.
And you got knocked out, man. You didn't even play on Sunday because you were probably still a little woozy and concussed.
It was
it is ridiculous.
Yeah, no, it was funny just seeing on my timeline Tim Anderson getting folded like a chair, over and over.
It's right there. It's showing right now.
Oh, it's right there. There we go.
Tom Hamilton, the broadcaster for the Guardians, was brilliant.
Oscar's throw is not in time.
He just missed him at second base. This is another rocket of a throw, and now...
Oh, boy.
Now
oh, my goodness. Here come the benches. Off we go. It started with Anderson and Ramirez. Swings being taken. Kopech had to hold him back, and everybody's spilling out here in Cleveland.
Well, now they come running out of the bullpen, which is a bit late, but they're adding some support to the effort. And that was one of the few that you actually saw coming to blows. You don't see that too often.
So that's Steve Stone and Jason Benetti on the White Sox side, but the Indian side was even better, and we'll get that as
Tim Anderson has had a really rough year. He hit his first home run a couple of weeks ago. He's had some off the field.
I was going to say the off the field issues.
He's had a rough season, man. Like 2023, he probably just wishes to delete that from his memory.
Isn't that kind of self-induced stuff that Tim Anderson? He's the one that kind of started the fight, the off the field issues or things he started. Self-induced problems.
He's got some. I wonder if there are certain people watching that and like, yeah, thank you.
Yeah, probably. I guess he posted something and then deleted it. Said he got off me. This is Tim Anderson. He got off me. We ain't tripping about that. This expletive, bigger, will catch up with him later. And he deleted that, whatever that means. Yeah. So I guess maybe there'll be a round 2.
That'd be great.
He should know. Yeah. He should just shake his hand and say the better man won and walk away.
And just pretend it didn't happen.
If you haven't heard it, here's the Cleveland call.
Here it comes. A swing and a smash to first by the diving Vaughn. Down the right field line. Kicks into the corner. Ramirez on his way to second. Head first slide. Safe. And in to score is Jimenez. And another hustle double. Right over the bag at first. Now Hosey and Anderson square off. They're fighting. They're swinging. Down goes
love that call.
That's Howard Cosell. Down goes Frazier. Epic. That was fantastic. So, and then afterwards, Tito Francona says, it's not funny, but when you come in and then you hear Hammy's call, it's pretty funny. It was great. Guys, my number one is one of Brooks' minor league guys, Lucan Baker. Holy cow.
Oh, yeah.
2 more home runs yesterday. He has 31 homers this season. He's 5 away from the Memphis Redbirds all-time record. 31 homers, 89 runs batted in. I hope he's not a 4A player, and I think that's kind of what the Cardinals expect him to be. But I hope that he can turn this incredible power season at Memphis into something that's productive at the major league level. I don't know if he'll be able to do it here, but congratulations to Lucan on a great season at the minor league level. And you know what? If the Cardinals hadn't called him up and not used him for a few weeks, he might already have that record. But he probably appreciated the major league money, right?
Yeah, for a little bit.
$750,000 prorated. Not bad. Oh. So,
yes.
You take that over being in the minors and breaking a record?
Hell yes.
Legendary.
What is that going to give me in the long run?
Well, not as much as $750,000 prorated. That is 3 things we loved about the weekend here on 101 ESPN. Coming up, has the unthinkable entered any of our minds? Yes. It's coming your way on the opening drive on 101 ESPN.
Hey, it's Kerry for Window Nation. Feeling the heat? High temps aren't the only thing getting you hot under the collar. Wait till you see your energy bills. The solution? Well, I recommend my friends at Window Nation for new energy-efficient windows. Your home stays comfortable and cool. Your AC will avoid any premature breakdowns, and you will save on those high energy bills, not to mention the incredible savings Window Nation is offering right now. Get 50% off of any style window, bows, bays, double hang, sliders, 50% off, plus put 0 down. Make 0 payments with 0% interest for 24 months. And this week only, receive an additional 10% off. So maintain your chill, lower your bill, and fill your home with new windows from Window Nation. Get 50% off on all style windows and pay nothing for 2 years. Call 866-90Nation this week and get an additional 10% off of your order. Get a pair of cards tickets with a purchase of a house of windows. That's 866-90Nation or go online at windownation.com.
This is Rocky with your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. The Cardinals dropped 2 out of 3 against the Rockies over the weekend, including a 1-0 loss yesterday. There was a positive side as Zach Thompson got a start, 4 innings pitched, 2 hits, 1 earned run, 1 walk, and 8 strikeouts. Jojo Romero also came in for 2 innings of relief and got 4 strikeouts as well. But the offense, 8 hits, they stranded 15 runners, and they went 0 for 9 with runners in scoring position. Cardinals off today before they start a 3-game series against the Tampa Bay Rays starting tomorrow. Also, over the weekend, the United States women's national team bowed out of the Women's World Cup with a knockout round loss to Sweden in a shootout 4-2. Also, Mason Wynn was removed from Springfield's game on Sunday for quote-unquote a precautionary reason to avoid further injury, according to Daniel Guerrero of STLtoday.com. Coming up here on the opening drive, Chris Kerber joins the show at 8:15 with a special sneak preview of the Blues' new documentary, Anatomy of the Draft, which debuts tonight at 7 p.m. That is your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff. Find your roads and shop 24/7 at londoff.com and londoffautoplex.com. Are you kidding me?
With Brooke Grimsley and Kerry Davis, I'm Randy Carricker. Great to have you with us on the opening drive on 101 ESPN. Guys, I was texting with a friend over the weekend, and we had the little discussion. Would we trade Jordan Walker for a number 1 starter this offseason? Jordan Walker, regarded as a top 10 prospect in baseball. We've seen the talent. He's had a great year. He's got a 738 OPS despite some recent struggles, hitting .261, 321 on base, 416 slug. He's hit 10 home runs and driven in 29 this year. But you have a wealth of outfielders. And by the way, Mike Gersh, the Cardinals general manager, came on with BK and Ferrario last week and said that Victor Scott, he of all the stolen bases at the minor league level, is going to be the Cardinals center fielder in a couple of years. For the short term, they're going to evaluate their outfield situation. But next year, if you want, you can have Tyler O'Neill, Carlson, Newt Barr, Edman, and Alec Burleson. Here's the question. If one of the top young starters in baseball would come available, and Spencer Strider's not going to become available, but ultimately the Tampa Bay Rays wind up trading everybody, okay? And they have a young starter who started in an all-star game in Shane McClanahan. And by the way, I would not trade Walker for a guy like Tyler Glasnow. But Shane McClanahan last year makes 28 starts, has a 2.54 earned run average. He's in the All-Star game. This year, he's 11-2 with a 3.29, 21 starts. He's been durable, taking the ball, and was an All-Star this year, too. 26 years old. If a guy like that would come on the market, would you consider the possibility of trading Jordan Walker?
I like how you set that up to give all the possibilities to make me think that maybe, okay, well, the player that he brings up, surely I would do that. Jordan Walker, I couldn't give up on Jordan Walker, right? That would be a trade that would haunt you forever.
Yeah, so Tampa Bay would have a couple of those guys.
Oh, wow.
the ghosts of Cardinals past.
Here's the other thing about McClanahan. 194 strikeouts last year, 121 this year in 115 innings. Well over a strikeout an inning, so he's what the Cardinals are looking for. And the number of guys that I would consider for doing this, there might be 3, maybe 4. But it's going to be a really limited number. What about you, CD?
I'm going to say no as well. I mean, you are here, his rookie year. You talked about Nolan Gorman last year in his rookie year and how it played out for him and what we're looking at in the second year of his career. The growth, the maturity the leaps and bounds you make from one year to the next, especially when it's the beginning of your career, is the most important time. It's like a baby. When you're young, that's when you can gain the most information. Your brain is like a sponge. Same thing for young players. They are learning so much in their first year. So this first year has been pretty good. I expect it to be much better next year. And so right now, you're looking at Jordan Walker. Let's look at what Nolan Gorman did last year. He had played in 89 games, 313 at bats, 14 home runs, 226 batting average, an OPS of 721. Jordan Walker is going to probably eclipse that. He's going to play more games. Jordan is at 60. Where are we at? How many games has he played right now? He has played 72 games. So he's probably going to he's going to eclipse that. He's going to end up with around those same numbers, maybe a little bit better than what Nolan Gorman had last year as a rookie. You project that into the next year. I mean, I think Jordan Walker is going to be a superstar here for this team. And so, no. Nolan Gorman, Jordan Walker are 2 players that I do not want to trade. If you need a starting pitcher, which one are you more likely or more willing to trade if you had to choose one or two? One of the 2.
Between Gorman and Walker?
Yeah.
Walker.
Okay. So you would trade him now for that.
Well, here's the thing. I have to get a Spencer Strider type talent. And even then, I'm going to really have to put some deep thought into it. I remember 20 years ago I was doing the show at Patios, a nighttime show at the Big 550, and the Cardinals were playing the Cubs. And a Cub fan came up to me and said, "Hey," was drunk, obviously, because he's a Cub fan. "Hey, would you trade us Pujols for Pryor?" And I said, "Absolutely not. No chance." He said, "Well, we wouldn't trade Pryor for Pujols either." He was a drunk Cub fan. And as it turns out, you don't, because of the fragility of the pitcher, you don't trade a position player for a young pitcher because the pitcher might become Alex Reyes or Jack Flaherty or Mark Pryor or Kerry Wood or one of those guys. The pitcher's always going to break down, and the hitter generally is going to be at least reasonably durable.
And continue to get better.
Yeah. At
least you would hope so. And that's what I was going to bring up with Shane McClanahan. Didn't he just go onto the 15-day IL?
Yeah, just sore back.
When did that happen?
No, it was a forearm strain, wasn't it?
Oh, I thought it was.
I shut that down. I shut that down real quick. Don't you try to. You keep trying to put these back injuries past me. You did it with Mason Wynn. It was a glute strain, which I know can be a part of the back, but still, they said glute strain. They didn't say back issues. And you're trying to get Shane McClanahan past me. It was a forearm tightness issue.
Okay, so he's towards Tommy John.
Oh, yeah, that sounds great. That's deeply concerning.
It's not great.
By the way, yes, he does have a forearm injury, but he has had back injuries in the past.
Yeah.
So
back injuries are honestly those are some of the worst injuries to have.
Yeah.
When you are an athlete, I mean, even if you're not an athlete, but when you're an athlete, there is so much you just bending down, trying to tie your shoes, walking, running. It's a difficult task, and if you want somebody to swing a bat or stride and overextend to throw a pitch and your back is sore, it's a tough task.
By the way, Brooke, he was on the injured list with a back issue in July and then just came back.
So about a month back.
Yeah.
Not a week back.
Yeah.
I cannot.
We're getting a text here I think Kara would love in this response. Walker has played in 72 games, but he only plays 7 innings.
Yeah, that's not his fault. That is the fault of the upper management.
He could be prepared he could have been easily prepared as an outfielder for a couple of years.
Who do you think has the greater upside? Which one in the long run will be the better player? Because I think it's Walker because of his athleticism.
Yeah, no doubt. He's going to be a good outfielder.
Yeah.
Yes.
And he's going to hit for a higher average. Well, Gorman while a terrific power hitter, I don't think he's ever going to hit for a high average. Yeah, he's going to
strike out a lot.
Yeah, and he's not at second base. He's got a chance to be pretty average.
Yes.
But is he ever going to be great there? Is he going to be Tommy Edman? No. If he was playing third, I think it might be a different story. But he is going to, in terms of his defense. But offensively, he's always, I think, going to have that limitation. I don't think he's ever going to hit 300. I think Walker could hit 300.
I just want to see him as a DH. But then that means Wilson Contreras is pretty much catching every day.
Did you your take it or leave it yet?
Are we in take it or leave it?
No.
We're
not take it or leave it. Why did I think it was take it or leave it right now? I'm sorry. That was me. I thought we were just discussing take it or leave it stuff.
I did give Randy a take it or leave it. I gave him.
Oh, that's why I got thrown. Okay. Okay, that's what I was thinking. I was like, I was like, wait a minute.
We did all leave the idea of trading Jordan Walker. Unless it's Spencer Strider.
See, and that
ain't happening.
I would look more. I would probably trade Gorman before I traded Walker.
Really?
Yeah, I think I would too.
I just because I think the upside is for Jordan Walker is the athleticism, the ability to as you said, hit for power, hit for average. I think is all there, and so and better defensively.
And maybe the Cardinals, they could take advantage of a less than stellar front office and buy low on a guy like Cease rather than buy high on a guy like a two-time All-Star like McClanahan or try to get a Framber Valdez, who you aren't going to get. Maybe the thing to do is to try to buy low and take advantage of a less than stellar front office.
We found our ace yesterday, Randy.
We did.
Oh, you're already all in on Zach Thompson right now.
One start.
ZT.
One start.
Sign him up.
All in on Zach Thompson.
8 strikeouts? Hell yeah.
So
you're saying swing or miss is important?
That been all year?
Yeah. So we've got him then. We've got obviously Steven Matz, who's a stud. We've got Michaelis, who's a stud.
Got to go spend some money in free agency.
I don't know.
Or make a trade. I don't think you're going to be able to trade anything other than Nolan Gorman or Jordan Walker.
I don't think they need to make a trade now.
I don't think Tyler O'Neill or Brendan Donovan is going to get you Dylan Cease. No offense.
No, they aren't. No, you're right. So there we have it. By the way, what are the texters saying, Matthew? Is everybody pretty much against trading Walker?
There's a couple people who are okay with it, but yeah, I mean, just stop. You don't trade an everyday player, especially a talent like Walker, for a pitcher. For one thing, the risk of injury is too great. Let me go over to the YouTube chat, and I put up the poll right as we started the segment. If it meant a no-doubter number 1 starting pitcher, would you consider trading Jordan Walker? The options were yes, no, and are you out of your mind? And right now, no is leading with 60% of the vote. Are you out of your mind also has 15% of the vote.
Okay,
so
and yes,
a stark three-fourths against right now.
There we go. By the way, I was hoping that Gordon Graceffo could be an ace. His last outing, no, not
it
ace.
was not great.
Not ace material.
No. And Robert Suh didn't have a great appearance. Robert Suh. It's Robert Suh or Robert Suh?
Robert Suh.
They said Robert Suh.
He gave up eight runs, didn't he?
It was not a great weekend for him. It just was not.
No. We'll get him going, though. We'll get him going at some point. Coming up next, get your text in to the Air Comfort Service text line, 314-399-9646, 314-399-YO-HO. We have Take It or Leave It next on 101 ESPN. Hey, there's some great things happening at Hoffman Brothers, heating, cooling, electrical, plumbing, and more. And if you aren't a Hoffman Brothers Home Protection Plan member, then you need to be. What are you waiting for? For as little as $34 a month, you can join the Hoffman Brothers Home Protection Plan. And as part of it, you not only get 2 semi-annual visits for your heating and cooling system, but free filters are shipped to your home. You get discounts across all of their home service lines: heating, cooling, plumbing, electrical, sewers, drains, and appliances. And the best part is that you can schedule your service online 24/7 at HoffmanBros.com. Call to join the Hoffman Brothers Club today. Hoffman Brothers is an independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer. And think about this. Maybe your dishwasher, the handle breaks on your dishwasher, and you need it taken care of in a hurry. Just call Hoffman Brothers, 314-664-3011, or go to HoffmanBros.com. Set up an appointment. They'll come out, and they'll fix that handle in a blink. They do amazing work for everybody in St. Louis, and they'll do great work for you, too. It's Hoffman Brothers. Visit them at Hoffman Bros, HOFFMANN, HoffmanBros.com.
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it on the opening drive on 101 ESPN. Brooke, Carrie, Randy, and Matthew. Get your text in now to the Air Comfort Service text line, 314-399-9646, 314-399-YO-HO. Guys, another win for YouTuber Jake Paul this weekend. He's unbelievable, isn't he? So he started his boxing career just kind of as a lark, and now he just keeps winning. He beat 38-year-old Nate Diaz, who's been fighting since 2004 over the weekend. And it was a unanimous decision. He's won by knockout, Paul has, and he's beaten pretty much everybody that stood in his way. Take it or leave it, Jake Paul is making boxing look bad.
Leave it.
I'm going to take it.
I'm going to leave it.
I'm going to let you go first, Carrie. Go ahead.
Hey, how many boxers has he fought? I mean, like real boxers. Tyron Woodley is an MMA.
Yep.
Nate Diaz is an MMA.
Yep.
Those guys, and the difference is they're not using their feet. They're not able to choke you out. They're not able to do some of the things that they're allowed to do in their actual sport. Give me Jake Paul in there with Canelo Alvarez, and let's see if he's still one of the best boxers in the world. He's going to get put to sleep because those guys use their fists for a living, and that's their profession. So I leave it. Even a guy that is small, I think Jake Paul is about 160. I think he's in that middleweight range, 160, 165, maybe topping out at 170. Mm-hmm. Even a guy like Bud Crawford, who we just saw beat down Earl Spence. Now, there's a vast weight difference, but a real boxer, it's not gonna happen in the way that Jake Paul is enjoying it right now.
So your question was that if this is good for boxing?
He's making boxing look bad by beating.
He's making it look bad.
Yeah.
Then yeah, I'm gonna have to go with CD's point on that too. It just doesn't make any sense what he's doing. It's not real boxing, and I get that. And I'll give it to him. He looks like he's in good shape, and I get that he trains and all that. But like what CD was saying, go out and box a real boxer.
I mean, he's fought Nate Robinson, who was a basketball player and won at 5'8".
Yeah, but that's...
No.
It just doesn't make any sense.
He's still 7-1.
Yeah. Randy, I won a lot of fights, too. I didn't fight many boxers.
But he... it seems like anybody could walk in and start boxing. You wouldn't think a YouTuber would be the guy that would walk in and start beating people.
He is in what he does. I think he's very good. But again, he's fighting MMA fighters who kick people in the face for a living, and they're not able to kick him in the face. So it really
is different.
You're taking away 2/3 of their game if they're not able to wrestle, able to kick, able to put you in chokeholds. You're taking away 2/3 of the things that they normally do, and you're forcing them to only box, which probably isn't their strongest tool in their belt, because if they could, they would have just been boxers. They are MMA fighters, and so I don't give a lot of credit to what Jake Paul is doing. My take it or leave it. So we saw Zach Thompson perform this weekend, and he did a fantastic job striking out 8. I was trying to find out what's the highest strikeout total for a pitcher. Rocc, if you could find that out for us, I'd greatly appreciate it.
For the Cardinals?
For the Cardinals this year. In one
Did
pitcher.
Michaelis have 10?
I think Montgomery might have had 10 as well. But either way, take it or leave it. If this is the version of Zach Thompson that we are going to see going forward, it has been negligent by the Cardinals to not have him starting any games.
I'll take that. Yeah.
I'll take it, too. It's been very frustrating what they've done with Zach Thompson this season, and he's just one of the many stories, right, where one thing is said and then it's changed, and I have to give it to him. His attitude through this whole process, and he even has said recently in interviews that he's fine with whatever role that they need from him, but even your preparation going to the season, he went into the season thinking that he was going to be a reliever. They let him be that early on coming out of the pen, and then all of a sudden they stretch you out to be a starter, and he struggled in the minors, and it's almost like you have to kind of throw those stats away in the minors, because it was not a fair situation to put him in, and I'm impressed with his ability to continue to push through. I think that says a lot about his ability.
Guys say I'm okay with whatever role you put me in, because that's the politically correct thing to say, but deep down inside, they are saying a lot of words that you can't say on radio to those people in the front office.
Oh, I'm sure.
I wonder if Jordan Walker going down there and saying, hey, you know what, I'm going to be me. I wonder if that empowered some of these other guys to do their thing. For example, rather than saying, yeah, Dusty Blake came up with a great plan for me, saying, you know what, I'm just going to copy what Clayton Kershaw does.
Yeah.
I wonder if some of those minor leaguers have been empowered to do what they do best rather than what the Cardinals think is best for them.
Yeah. All right, take it or leave it, guys. Adam Wainwright, and before that I say this, I'm not advocating for this, but this is something that I've seen people say on the text line and on YouTube comments as well. Adam Wainwright will be moved to the bullpen. It was another rough outing for him, as we all saw in this past weekend. Gave up 9 hits, a season-high 7 runs, and the loss the other day. He's lasted just 3 innings, failing to throw a quality start for his 6th straight appearance. Take it or leave it, he will move to the bullpen for the rest of the season.
I'm going to leave it because I'm trying to put together a starting rotation without him.
So I'm going to leave it as well.
I've got Michaelis, Liberatore, Matz, Thompson.
Dakota, if you wanted to.
Dakota.
If you wanted to move him, you could.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, you could.
I'm going to leave it because I don't think it's going to happen.
I'm going to leave it as well. I think they're more inclined, probably more likely to go with a 6-man rotation than to take him out of the rotation. I don't think, especially where they are, it's not like they're in a pennant race or anything. I just don't think that that's the expedient thing to do.
Monty, 11, Jack, what does that say? Who that?
You know, 11. That's one.
Oh,
one 8+ strikeout games for the Cardinals.
Oh.
Monty had 1. Jack had 4. That's a 1. Jack had 4. Michaelis had 1, and Matt's had 1. So you're looking at 7 8+ strikeout games for the Cardinals starting pitching so far this year.
Go Zach.
Good for him.
What do we have on the text line there, Matthew? We're putting. He's got to write stuff. He's got to look stuff up. He's a multitasker.
Well, I had one, and the Jake Paul take it or leave it really got people going. Take it or leave it. Lucan Baker has more trade value than Dylan Carlson.
Oh,
I'll leave that.
I'm going to leave that because one's been playing in the majors.
And he was a top 10 prospect in baseball, and he's 24. He's younger than Baker. So I would say that Luke Baker's always been considered he hasn't been considered a top prospect. He's never been close to top 100. He's obviously having a really good year, but he feels like a 4A player.
Mm-hmm. Take it or leave it. If Nolan Gorman will win either a Silver Slugger or a Gold Glove before Jordan Walker.
Leave it. In fact, I will say
Nolan Gorman will win a Silver Slugger before Jordan Walker.
Or Gold Glove.
I will say Nolan Walker will never win a Silver Slugger or a Gold Glove.
Nolan Gorman?
Yeah,
will
Nolan
never
Gorman,
win?
No. He'll never be the best hitter at his position because he's a home run hitter.
What's his position is a DH? Is DH.
He's not going to be the best DH.
I don't think he'll win second baseman.
You lost me with Gold Glove. Over Jordan Walker.
Somebody pointed out in the text, like Marmol said, like Gorman's one of the best, is the best double play turner on the team. He's really improved on the second base.
It's great when you got.
He was a negative second baseman last year. He is an average second baseman this year.
It's wonderful when you were able to shift and have people in the right place to turn those double plays.
Yeah. Well, he was again with the shift last year. He was a negative. Now this year he's average.
He's average.
There's improvement.
Usually average guys don't win Gold Gloves.
But I'm saying he was a minus 5. He was a -5 defensive run save last year. He's a 0 this year, which means he's not a negative player. That's improvement. We got to talk about that. I mean, when we talk about improvement at defense, Walker is certainly part of the conversation. Take it or leave it. Win is on the take a breather and get to 100% before you're called up to STL list.
Take it.
I'll take it as well.
Take it.
Yeah.
He would have sore glute.
Yeah. I would hope that he is. It was a little bit concerning. Did you see the interview with Gersh this past weekend? And maybe, I don't know, maybe I was just reading too much into it, but he said maybe we'll see Win later this year, and that could have been just a misspeak, but I would assume that he'd be coming here soon. Well, I would hope.
Let him rest up and bring him up as part of, you can expand the roster by 2 on September 1st, and let him be one of those 2, and let him play the last month here. That'd be fine. By the way, last year's National League Silver Slugger Award winner was Jeff McNeil of the Mets, 326, 382, 454. The year before that, Ozzie Albies, 259, 310, 488. Solano won the year before that. Albies, Javi Baez in his best year hit 290 with a 326 on base, 554 slug. I just don't know.
He's not going to hit above 235.
I don't think he is, no. I'm with you there.
He'll be around 226, what he is right now, 220, 226, 230 at top and out, maybe. And 35 home runs.
Yeah.
But a lot of strikeouts there.
Okay. And he'll fit well in the Cardinal lineup, but he's just not. Is he going to be the overall best hitter at second base ever? I would doubt it.
Take it or leave it. By 2025, there will only be 3 big conferences left in college sports: the Big 12, the Big 10, and the SEC, or whatever the heck those respective are named by them.
ACC will still be here because their grant of rights deal runs through 2036, and nobody can leave.
They are the one conference that hasn't lost anybody, if I'm not mistaken.
Because it costs $30 million to get out.
Nobody's getting out of there.
Florida State wants to get out, but they don't have the money.
And I heard they had an opportunity like 30 years ago, and they were like, "No, we're not going anywhere." So, and looking at it now, you're like, maybe we should have
done that.
Well, I'll take that. It'll be 4. The Pac-12 is essentially done.
Are you bummed out by that because of the Rose Bowl?
I didn't even think about that, Randy, because I didn't get to play in the Rose Bowl, which did frustrate me. We played in the Sugar Bowl because the Rose Bowl was the national championship game that year. We should have been in the Rose Bowl. That was
Vince Young, right?
Yes. Yep, I believe so. Was that Vince Young? No.
Vince Young against USC, right? That was the Rose Bowl.
Was that? It might have been. 2001?
No, he was 05.
No, it was Ohio. It was
you were in the
Miami.
NFL by then.
Yeah, it was Miami and somebody.
Okay.
Yeah, probably. So that part of it, I think, when you start moving teams from conference to conference, it does change the historical feeling of those matchups. It's going to be a little different.
I loved that tradition, and that was my favorite one, the granddaddy of them all.
Yeah.
And I loved having the Pac-10 against the Big 10. Those were the days back in my day.
Yeah.
But now we're just going to have a giant playoff.
Everybody playing. Yay.
So
good fun.
Good. And we will have, because the Big 10 apparently wants to go to 20, and the SEC isn't going to be far behind. So it'll be interesting to see who lands where. Notre Dame will wind up in a conference somewhere.
At some point, they almost have to. Unless they just can stand on their own.
My word, they're going to be in a conference?
And come to the Big 10.
Are they going to be okay with that?
we'll see. We'll see. Thank you, Matthew.
Thank you, Randy.
Coming up next on 101 ESPN, speaking of the changes in the college football landscape, Mizzou coach Eli Drinkwitz had a really interesting little diatribe about it over the weekend. We'll hear from that and reflect on it next on 101 ESPN.
Fresh perspective on the day's top stories. It's the Opening Drive's Fresh Take.
Brought to you by Schnucks Rewards. Reward yourself. Earn 2% back on every purchase with the Schnucks Rewards app.
Well, since last we spoke, the Pac-12 blew up as we knew it. The schools, well, Washington and Oregon have switched from the Pac-12 to the Big Ten. On the heels of that, Arizona, Arizona State, and Utah, those two schools, the first two, went to the Big Ten. Arizona, Arizona State, Utah went to the Big 12. And Mizzou coach Eli Drinkwitz was asked about those moves, which are financially based, over the course of this weekend.
All right, I'm going to say it. I thought the transfer window, I thought the portal was closed. Oh, that's just for the student athletes. The adults in the room get to do whatever they want, apparently. And it's, you know, it's just sad that there's, look, my question is, did we count the cost? I'm not talking about a financial cost. I'm talking about, did we count the cost for the student athletes involved in this decision? What cost is it to those student athletes? We're talking about a football decision. They based off football, but what about softball and baseball who have to travel cross country? Do we ask about the cost to them? Do we know what the #1 indicator of symptom of or cause of mental health is? It's lack of rest and sleep. Traveling in those baseball, softball games, you know, those people, they travel commercial. They get done playing at 4. They got to go to the airport. They come back. It's 3 or 4 in the morning. They got to go to class. I mean, did we ask any of them? Are we going to look back? I don't worry at all about the game. The game is going to be strong. Football is going to be fine. We'll all figure it out. But did we consider the people that we are entrusted with? Did we consider the student athlete? Because then we're asking them to go out on their own to get NIL. We didn't say we're going to revenue share. We're not saying they're getting a piece of it. So that's the thing that's bothering me right now in this whole situation is we keep trying to limit what the student athlete can do, but then we act on our own. And everybody's got their own reasons. And I'm not questioning any of those. I'm saying as a collective group, have we asked ourselves, what's it going to cost the student athletes? I saw on Twitter several student athletes talking about one of the reasons they chose their school was so that their parents didn't have to travel. They chose a local school so that they could be regionally associated so their parents could watch them play and not have to travel. Did we ask them if they wanted to travel from the East Coast to the West Coast? Man, you know, I love the game, but every game that I coach, I look up in the stands and find my family. I make sure they can play. I make sure they can be there because that's what I'm doing this for. And you're talking about volleyball, baseball, softball, track. I mean, all those other sports, man, they're not fortunate to travel like the way we do. Football will be fine. Football will be fine. Still, we count the cost of the collateral damage of everybody else. I don't know. Only time will tell, but that is my biggest, like, looking at it going 24 hours after, say, did we really think about that? I don't think we did.
That's Mizzou coach Eli Drinkwitz. Very well said, and it does come down to money for all of these schools, and the cost to the athletes is something that I'm sure wasn't considered at all. It was a football decision, and I would guess, like Eli couched it, that the volleyball players and the baseball players and the softball players and the track athletes, they are essentially collateral damage in all of this.
Yeah, hearing him talk, I thought about the movie My Cousin Vinny. When Vinny was up there giving his whole spiel and the judge said, Mr. Gambini, your argument was clear, concise, it was thoughtful, overruled. It's just, no one cares. Right. It's unfortunate because you are correct, Coach. You hit the nail on the head. The thought process of moving all of these people around and the financial aspect, the financial burden on parents to go fly from certain places across the country to go watch their child play. That's the reason why some of them chose the place where they went to school. It's unfortunate because I think a lot of times the big guys don't think about the little guys. Now, they have started thinking about the players in the terms of allowing them to get NIL, allowing them to make money off of their name, image, and likeness. But at the end of the day, they still aren't really helping them in the way that they need to be helped because taxes got to be paid on that money. You got to know how to manage that money. And the colleges are essentially pushed out of helping the players in that decision. So you got people from the outside coming in, and you got to see if those people are trustworthy to help these young players. And so it's a lot of things that are tied in. I think the NCAA has done a better job of trying to help the players, but at the end of the day, when you look at the thing as a whole, it's still not done correctly.
And with this latest round of realignment, too, some of these schools now in their own conferences are going to be like 3,000, close to 3,000 miles apart from each other. And a lot of people might think, hearing Eli Drinkwitz talk. Like, okay, well, fine. You guys have, your own plane that you're able to take your team on. You talk about the family aspect. They are responsible for how they get to the games. They're not a part of that travel plan. And what about the other sports, the other athletics involved with this? Softball, baseball. I mean, all these other athletics that are now going to be touched by this, where it's going to take a long time to get to your next opponent. A lot of travel's involved. And by the way, they are student athletes. I know that I know that NIL gets very tricky where people think, oh, it's not about them being students. They are still students because they are going to the university. So they are responsible on top of that with this extra travel time, their homework and different things like that. I worked around college athletics, and those athletes do actually have to go to their classes. I know that some of them do online courses, but there's still a lot of work involved with that. And I'm not going to discredit that in any way from them. And that's just a lot of extra work, added pressure. And now these other, not just football or basketball, so the two bigger sports, but now all these other athletics are going to be affected.
And I wonder, and this is with all due respect to these kids who are getting partial scholarships, but how does the discus thrower at Washington or Oregon or UCLA or USC, how do they make NIL money? Yeah, you put their name up on or their face up on a billboard?
Not everybody's getting NIL.
Not everybody is. Some schools have what they call a collective, which means, let's say they get $500,000 to the entire program, and so they'll divvy that out evenly. But that's generally for the bigger sports, football, men's basketball. It's not for track or swimming or hockey, whatever the sport may be. It's a little bit different for those players. You have to be, really good or really, I guess, really good at social media in order for people to get paid. And that's the unfortunate part of it. When you almost have to look at football as its own entity inside the NCAA, as opposed to a whole grouping of all of those guys together, because it's just a different amount of money that's being associated with it, and it's different rules associated with them.
And Carrie, how many times do you hear from your young high school athletes when they're picking a school? Of course, if they're a big star, then they'll go wherever, right? Because they're getting all these offers knocking down their door for them to come to their universities. But how many of the other athletes you hear, and even some of the stars, they pick their university based off of how close it is, where it's easy for their family to come see them?
I've had to explain to kids, like, you need to go to the best situation. I understand you want to be close to home for your parents. Sometimes being close to home is good. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes getting away and seeing other things is a great thing. Me going to Illinois was great for me because it got me out of St. Louis. It got me away from Missouri, even though it was only 2.5 hours away. So it's just a different experience. My family could still come there and see me, but it was not in the state of Missouri. So I got to meet different people from different places. So it was, I think that's good. It's right now it's difficult for these players and for these families to kind of figure out the best way to go about this.
And the football people, the biggest problem here is that the football people have taken over and they don't care about the other sports. Even a basketball, and I know the basketball is a revenue sport, but UCLA plays at Michigan on Big Monday.
Yeah.
All right? So, and they finish at 11 o'clock. They get on a plane at midnight. They get back into Los Angeles at 3 in the morning LA time. Like Eli said, then they got to go to class.
And they are expected to be in class.
Yeah.
And because the GPAs matter too. Yeah. Well, for some of them.
Some of them. It matters because that's what you're there for. You're a student athlete. That's what your scholarship is, for going to college, not for playing the sport. You got the scholarship because you were able to play the sport, but you got to go to class. And so it is difficult. And I know people, poor players, look at what they get. You have no clue the amount of work that is associated with being a student athlete, the amount of sleep that you don't get because you're up at 7 a.m. for either workouts or for class. Because for us, all of our classes had to be done by 2 o'clock, had to be over, meaning our last class could start at 1 p.m., need to be over by 1:50 so we could get to practice, which means I'm up early, I'm up late, and it's a lot of work put into being a student athlete.
And there are 315 last year Division I basketball programs with probably, let's just say there's 12 players each. So 315, because people are thinking, they're going to go to the NBA. So there are 3,780 Division I basketball players. there's 60 that get drafted to the NBA and maybe 30 that make the NBA. So maybe 30 out of 3,780. So it's not like these kids don't have to go to school because not all of them are going to play in the NBA or even play pro basketball. Out of that group, maybe 500 tops? No, not even that many. Maybe 150 probably will go play internationally.
Yes, maybe that many. Maybe 150 total between NBA and overseas.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you always need to have a backup plan, right? Nothing in life is guaranteed. Even getting drafted somewhere doesn't guarantee that that's going to work out or you won't get injured. You never know. So you have to, if you're going to college, still get that degree. You need to do that and have backup plans.
Yeah. And ultimately, the sports landscape is not allowing these kids to do the best that they're capable of in college because they're college athletes. That's what we're talking about. Yeah. Coming up next, it's a big day for the St. Louis Blues. Their documentary, Anatomy of a Draft, debuts tonight. And Chris Kerber, the voice of the Blues, is going to talk about it next with us on 101 ESPN. Hey, if you want a great lunch today, I want you to head on over to the Fenton Bar and Grill on Rudder Road in Fenton. And the food there is luscious. If you want just decadent dessert after lunch, you can get it at the Fenton Bar and Grill. Everything they have there is delicious. And I always like to get their wraps. They have a great selection of wraps. Their chicken Caesar wrap is absolutely fantastic. You'll love everything there. Don't forget to start with the trash swings. They're the greatest trash swings in town with their signature golden sauce. Absolutely delicious. The pulled pork wrap is great. The buffalo chicken, the Southwest chicken wrap. Everything at the Fenton Bar and Grill is fantastic. They have the greatest servers in town with Alicia and Kelly and Megan and Jamie and Colleen. The whole group is so fun. And then the people are the best. You'll love talking sports at the Fenton Bar and Grill. Rudder Road in Fenton. Just go there via the soccer park exit off of 44 and have a fantastic lunch, whether it's a business lunch today, maybe a happy hour, a get-together with buddies tonight, whatever you're doing. Make sure that the Fenton Bar and Grill is part of it. FentonBarandGrill.com. With Brooke Grimsley and Super Bowl champ Kerry Davis, I'm Randy Carricker. It's the opening drive on 101 ESPN, and tonight at 7 o'clock, the Blues documentary from Blue Note Productions, The Anatomy of the Draft, will debut on the Blues YouTube channel. You can check it out. And the voice of the Blues, Chris Kerber, is with us now. He's already seen it, and he's not going to do many spoilers, but we're going to talk a little bit about The Anatomy of the Draft. Kerbs, good morning. How you doing?
Yeah, I don't want to ruin anybody's week with a spoiler on a Monday, right?
Exactly. No, you don't want to start that way. But who do the Blues wind up drafting?
Well, yeah. So yesterday morning, I get a text. I get a text from my buddy Paul in the morning, and he made a comment about the Swedish soccer team. And I replied back with it's a shame, the U.S. got knocked out, blah, blah, blah. But then I put a couple things down. And he replied back with, oops, I should have told you I was watching it on tape. I went, oh, sorry about that.
Spoiler alert.
That's not my fault. It's not my fault. Like he made I thought that, the comment was clear. I thought that he had watched it or looked at the highlights or something. So I didn't realize he was still watching it.
So he missed the goal.
Yeah, so I ruined it for him.
Yeah.
Kerbs, there's over 50 hours of video footage of just Doug Armstrong and his operations staff and the NHL draft. What stood out to you about how they go about things?
You know what? I've been fascinated for a while now with Doug's leadership and how he runs his hockey department. And I think fans are going to really kind of enjoy some of the clips of how the conversation gets started. And frankly, maybe how little Doug says and how much other people say. The debates on some players, the thoughts, and when guys and when people on his staff don't agree on things. And how he handles it. Because one thing we've noticed that I've noticed with Doug compared to others is, Doug really surrounds himself with some current, by current I mean recently retired guys. He involves players like the way he's involved Chris Thorburn, for example, in player development and just how that's played a role in things. But the whole staff aspect of it, and when a team has a director of amateur scouting that they truly trust, like they have with Tony or maybe how they did with Jarmo, to me, it shows how important they're having the right staff is. And I think fans are going to get a real good glimpse of that.
Curtis, when we were listening to the draft over the radio, I thought Alex Ferrario did a really good job of describing the setting and what was going on and how execs were walking to different tables. Were the Blues close to trading any of those picks away or moving up or moving back?
I guess we're going to have to watch.
Guess that would be a spoiler alert, huh?
Yeah, well, listen, they look at every option, and Doug Armstrong, he said this when he met with the media about a month or so ago. He basically said that each team has, I forget the word he said, but it was like a matrix. Each team has a matrix, and they have a value for each slot. And so he felt even at that time that moving up would cost more than just the 3 picks might cost a player. It might, and then moving back. And so what happens is they get a list of players, and depending on who gets taken and what have you, that determines whether they move up and back. And so they get a bunch of things in place in case certain scenarios happen. And that's how that part goes. So I would say this, Kerry, I would say that every general manager on that draft floor had situations in place for if A, then B. I mean, it was really I don't know if you guys remember those old books when we were growing up, the Choose Your Own Adventure books, where at the bottom of the page you could flip to another page. To me, that's kind of what the draft floor can be like.
Kerbs, you mentioned Tony Feltrin, the Blues director of scouting. Was there somebody in this in the documentary that obviously will debut tonight on the Blues YouTube channel at 7 o'clock, somebody that you think people will be surprised by when they hear or get to know for the first time?
Well, I think there's Yeah, I think Nemechek is one of them. I think you're going to hear from Keith Tkachuk. Mm-hmm. There's one thing I'll tell you that happens in here. There's basically like a roll call at one point in time, okay? And it's not, and it's where when they start to rank players, Doug Armstrong went around the room and said, okay, what list you putting this guy on? And he just kind of went through to make sure there's a consensus. And I found that part to be a really kind of neat and fascinating aspect of this documentary. Like you said, look, there's over 50 hours, and they put this thing down to, about 20 minutes. And so there's so much more that can be done. And I think it's just going to be a good insight into how things work and how things go and what things are like.
Maybe give us a little bit. We're going to keep teasing you for spoilers because we just like to know every little bit that's going on. Of course, we'll watch later on. But what were they saying about Dvorsky that you could share?
There was actually an interesting debate about Dvorsky. In terms of what people thought and then how it goes. And there was one. There was one I thought dissenting voice in there. That questions a couple things. And so the debate on him, because obviously, obviously they're going to focus on, and you're going to learn about the 3 draft picks that the St. Louis Blues ended up picking. There are those debates. I guess, you know what? Going back to your previous question, Randy, now I think about it, there is a really current former Blue that kind of makes his debut on the Blues hockey ops staff that I think fans will love.
Okay, good. We'll keep an eye open for that.
Now, Curbs, professional athletes use anything as motivation, and so we see it all the time with baseball and arbitration where players have to hear terrible things about themselves. Any chance one of these current Blues players is going to hear something about themselves that they may not like in that draft room?
No, I don't think so on this one. But listen, Kerry, no, you're absolutely right. And I think that's one of the things when you're a team putting this together, say, versus an outside organization, you got to be a little bit careful on that front, right? But no, I think this is not so much about the debates on the players as it is about how you build your draft list and then how you manage that list when you get to the draft floor. Because remember, originally, I mean, Doug Armstrong told us plenty of times that, he when asked if he was going to take 3 players with the 3 picks, remember, he said a lot that there was no way he was trading the 10th pick, right, in terms of, just moving that one to move it. But if they could get players for, one of the other 2 picks and speed the process up, that's something that Doug has been, fascinatingly interested in. And obviously we know that did not happen because he ended up taking 3 players. And what's interesting about that, guys, is this. I looked at an interesting trade tree yesterday. For those that know me long enough know that I love trade trees. And I started looking at the TJ Oshie trade. The Blues actually got a pick through the TJ Oshie trade that eventually led to the Blues acquiring Braden Shen, right? Mm-hmm. And actually 2 players that actually it was a trade. It was part of the trade tree for TJ Oshie that allowed the Blues. Then ended up with 2 picks that eventually went through the Kevin Shattenkirk trade that allowed for Zach Sanford and Braden Shen. And of course, you won a Stanley Cup with those 2 guys. But part of those trades too, they get a pick from Washington in the Kevin Shattenkirk trade. They trade that pick to Philadelphia to get Braden Shen. Well, Philadelphia used that trade to take Morgan Frost, and Philadelphia is still going, do we have a player here with Morgan Frost? Guys, that was 5-6 years ago, right? Mm-hmm. So, and then I started looking. Okay, Ben Bishop. The Blues traded Ben Bishop, and for a 2nd-round pick that turned out to be nothing for the St. Louis Blues. So just because you make a trade at the trade deadline, and I think this is really important, for Cardinal fans to realize too, if I can bridge sports, that when you make trades at the trade deadline, you're really trading for futures, and you don't know how some of these futures work out. It's amazing to go back and look through and realize when you trade for draft picks, how excited you are, but then those draft picks have to plan out. But what the Blues have done extraordinarily well, I'm not sure that there's a team And in some of the research I've done, I haven't been able to really find too many that are better than the St. Louis Blues in finding value in the middle to late first round, in the second round, in the third round. Yeah, they've got players that are not going to work. Yes, they've had some picks that have busted. But they've had, on a whole, more players be successful and become impact players than most franchises drafting in those areas. And it's been successful. So that's why with Tony Felton running the show and the staff that you're going to hear in this documentary tonight, that's why you've got some really, really good positive vibes, not just on Dvorsky, but on the two Swedish players taken later in the draft.
Kerbs, we will be tuned in. It's always good to hear your voice. Thanks so much, and have a great week.
Yeah, have an awesome week, you three. Thank you very much.
Take care. That's the voice of the Blues here on 101 ESPN, the one and only Chris Kerber. Coming up next, we've got the fight on the opening drive on 101 ESPN. Yeah, I used to be a guy that was fatigued all the time. I would get up in the morning and I'd be tired, and I wondered what was going on. Why don't I have the energy? Do I need to get in better condition? As it turned out, I was dealing with low T, and that happens to every guy after they pass their 30th birthday. And what I did was went to Mentality. They have clinics in both Chesterfield and South County. You can find them on the web at lowtusa.com. And what they're going to do is a complete panel of your blood work to find out where your testosterone level is. And then they're going to provide an FDA-approved testosterone treatment that they apply every single week that gets your testosterone level back to where it was when you were in your 20s. And it does restore that energy, and it does allow you to get through days with more physical stamina, and some of that fatigue and being tired all the time goes by the wayside. And they'll work with your insurance company at Mentality to make sure that your out-of-pocket expenses are as low as can possibly be. It's at lowtusa.com. It's called Mentality, and if you don't feel up to snuff, if you don't feel as good as you think you should, get to Mentality at lowtusa.com.
This is Rocky with your Sports Center update, brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. The Cardinals dropped 2 of 3 against the lowly Colorado Rockies, including a 1-0 loss on Sunday. There was a bright side there as Zach Thompson went out with a great start. 4 innings pitched, 2 hits, 1 earned run, 1 walk, and 8 strikeouts. Jojo Romero also 2 innings of relief work. He had 4 strikeouts. The offense got 8 hits, stranded 15 runners on base, and went 0 for 9 with runners in scoring position. Also over the weekend, United States women's national team bows out of the Women's World Cup with a knockout round loss to Sweden in a shootout, losing 4-2 in that shootout. That is your Sports Center update, brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, an independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
Welcome back to the opening drive. I'm Kerry Davis, joined by Brooke Grimsley, and it is time for the fight. And our fighter today is Jeff. Jeff, how you doing?
Doing well.
All right.
Oh, yeah, I like
got
the
a lot of
energy.
you sound like you're driving. Are you hands-free and eyes on the road?
Absolutely.
All right. Well, here we go. You ready to take on Randy Kerber?
I am.
All right, here we go. Who was the last quarterback to be selected #1 overall and win the Super Bowl? Is it Eli Manning, Peyton Manning, or Matthew Stafford?
Matthew Stafford.
There are only 3 rookies to win World Series MVP awards. Larry Sherry of the Dodgers, Jeremy Pena last season, and which 97 Marlin? Is it Tony Saunders, Levon Hernandez, or Edgar Renteria?
Edgar Renteria.
On this day in 2007, the Cardinals tied the Major League Baseball record with 10 consecutive hits in an inning. Batting 8th, which Cardinals pitcher accounted for 2 of those 10 hits? Is it Adam Wainwright, Kip Wells, or Braden Looper?
Let's go Braden Looper.
Shohei Ohtani is the 3rd player since 1900 with a home run, stolen base, and a scoreless pitching outing in the same game. After only Chrissy Mathewson, and which unlikely 21st century position player? Pablo Sandoval, Prince Fielder, or Adrian Gonzalez?
Have to go with the Panda, Pablo Sandoval.
All right, we will double check our score, and we will bring in Randy Kerber.
Jeff, how you feel?
Not too bad. I like the baseball questions, but I have to say I was taking guesses on a couple of them.
All right. Well, I think you will be pleased with your effort today as Randy strolls in with his black cherry propel.
Oh, it's Barry.
Oh, Barry.
Oh, it's just Barry.
Good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I didn't want to disappoint you, Cindy.
I appreciate
Carrie
it.
does not like the black cherry.
I actually did find out a drink that I've been drinking regularly is black cherry, and I kind of like
way.
it.
Uh-oh.
It's disappointing. I was so disappointed in myself.
What is it?
It's I forget what it is. It's some type of water.
And it just bamboozled you?
It threw me off. I thought it was. I was assuming that it was like, this is really good. Then I realized. I looked at the label. I said, "Oh no, I can't drink this anymore."
I love that.
Randy, say hello to Jeff.
Jeff, good morning. How you doing? Jeff?
Did we lose him?
Oh, we think we just lost Jeff. Yeah.
Uh-oh. Well,
Oh, he was kind of in and out a little bit.
Okay.
Well, he's still listening.
Jeff, good morning. Thanks for listening.
He and his
Thanks for
family
playing.
are driving back to Florida. He's long-time listener, first-time caller.
Love it.
He's listening on the app. Good job. All right, well, Randy, we'll go with you, and Jeff will tune back in shortly.
Yeah, exactly.
Who was the last quarterback to be selected #1 overall and win a Super Bowl?
Last quarterback to be selected #1 overall. So, well, this is so you got Manning in '98. Subsequent to Manning, Tim Couch didn't. Michael Vick didn't, because Courtney Brown went first in 2000. 2001, let's see, 2001, 2002, David Carr didn't. 2003, Carson Palmer didn't. 2004, that would have been Eli. So Eli was first overall, so he'd be next. 2005 was Mario Williams. 2006, NFL draft. That was Jamarcus, I think. 2007. I don't even remember who the 2000s. See, I'm running out of things here. So 2007. I'll just pass it by. 2008. I'm running out of. 2007 was that horrible draft that we had. So Jay Cutler was the first quarterback taken in that draft, I think. 2009. That wouldn't have been. 2010 was Sam. 2009 was Matthew Stafford. So 2010 would have been Sam. 2011. Let's see, who do we got in the 2011 NFL draft? I'm trying to think of who the Rams took in the 2011 draft. That helps me a little bit. And it gets kind of forgettable. Cam Newton, he didn't win. 2012.
This is amazing.
You got to
peek into the window.
You got to do it, right? So right now we're at Stafford, 2012
the curtain.
NFL draft. Who did the Rams take?
You guys hear gears clicking?
This is bad.
Yeah.
Darn it! I'm trying to think of who went. So 2013. Okay, so we're getting to a point now. What? Well, you gave me the question, right? I mean, it's not an automatic thing. I'm going to go with. I'll say that Jared Goff did not win one.
Okay.
And that and I can just go back. I can just go back to those Super Bowls, which is fine. Mahomes wasn't the first pick in the draft. Foles wasn't the first pick in the draft. Alex Smith didn't win a Super. Okay, I missed one there. It's Alex Smith 205. I think I'm going to go with Stafford here. Brady.
I'm laughing at the text line.
Yeah, I think
it's going nuts right now.
Yeah, I can imagine. They don't like it. They
gave you a pitch clock violation.
They want me to have the options, which is great. I'll take the options on every question.
You'll go much faster if you had the options.
Yeah, I would. So I'll go Matthew Stafford.
All right.
Okay.
Final answer?
Is that it? Question number 2. That was 1. This is 2. There are only 3 rookies to win World Series MVP awards. Larry Sherry of the Dodgers, Jeremy Pena last season, and which 97 Marlins CD?
I'm sorry.
That would have been Edgar Renteria? Yes. No. Wait, hold. Did he win? He won it for them, but did he win? I'm going to go Levon. No, 97. Marlins over the then Indians. Yeah, they won in 03, but I don't think I think Levon was that year. I will go with Levon Hernandez.
All right. On this day in 2007, the Cardinals tied the Major League record with 10 consecutive hits in an inning, batting 8th. Which Cardinals pitcher accounted for 2 of those 10 hits?
2007.
Yes.
So I'm thinking it was probably a starter. So Carpenter was hurt. So you had Waino. You had the ill-fated Kip Wells experiment. I think Suppan was still around. Because he was a good hitter, I'll go with Waino.
Shohei Ohtani is the I'm sorry, were you about to say something
Nope.
else?
No.
Oh, okay. Shohei Ohtani, just have to double check. Double check. Last one. Shohei Ohtani is the third player since 1900 with a home run, stolen base, and scoreless pitching outing in the same game, after only Christy Mathewson and which unlikely 21st century position player?
Can I get that again, please?
Shohei Ohtani is the third player since 1900 with a home run, stolen base, and scoreless pitching outing in the same game, after only Christy Mathewson and which unlikely 21st century position player?
I'll do the lifeline since I have it.
Pablo Sandoval, Prince Fielder, Adrian Gonzalez.
All very unlikely. Stolen base homer and scoreless pitching outing. Gonzalez, Panda, or Fielder. I will go, just because he had the personality to steal a base, with the Panda. It's the only reason I'm going. That's the only reason I'm going.
Well, I'm glad we were able to get Jeff back on the line because we have a tie.
There we go.
Of course we do. We're going to go to the tiebreaker. Jeff, the rules here are simple. I will read out the question. Randy Carrick will have a moment to write down his answer. We will then get your answer, and whoever is closest to the pin is going to be the winner of today's fight. Jeff, do you understand those rules?
I do.
All right. Randy, do you have your piece of paper, and are you ready?
I do, and
to
I'm
write down
ready.
the answer?
Yeah,
All
I'll
right.
write it quickly.
What was Albert Pujols' career high for a season in stolen bases? Note he did it twice. What was Albert Pujols' career high for a season in stolen bases? Just a moment, Jeff. We're going to let Randy Carrick write down his answer first to the question, what was Albert Pujols' career high for a season in stolen bases? I heard the markers go. Randy Carrick has his answer down on the paper. Jeff, what is your answer, sir?
I'm going to go with 19.
Welcome to the longest fight in America.
It is 8:46. This segment was supposed to end at what time, CD?
That is absolutely unbelievable. Ladies and gentlemen, we have to go to a second tiebreaker question because the answer to the question is 16, which means both of you were 3 away because Randy Carricker, what was your answer on the paper?
I said 13.
You said 13, so you were both
Jeff said
3
19.
away. So I'm just going to pull a random number question out of my back pocket. Right now, we were talking a little bit earlier about Nolan Gorman, Jordan Walker. Who would you want to trade? Nolan Gorman. You want to trade him? How many RBI does the 23-year-old have currently this season? How many RBI does the 23-year-old have currently this season? How many RBI?
Yeah.
Carrie, you're killing me right now.
There you go.
Let's see here. We got a guess from Randy Carricker.
hope it happens
Jeff,
again.
how many RBIs does Nolan Gorman have on this season? Oh, you cut out there, Jeff. What was your answer?
54.
What,
54.
He said 54?
Yes.
All right.
Randy, can you share your answer, please?
I said 49.
All right. We have a winner.
Finally.
I wanted to see how long this could go for.
Fight after a first tiebreaker question and a second tiebreaker question. Can Jeff take down Randy Carricker on his way from Florida, or does Megamind roll on here to start a week after a long fight? Ring that bell.
The winner and new champion of the fight, average Joe listener.
The fight is presented by Golf Discount of St. Louis.
There you go.
With the
Good
most
job.
experienced club fitters in town. Why shop anywhere else?
Congratulations, Jeff. You won today's fight in the second tiebreaker. Nolan Gorman has 67 RBI on this season, which means you are a little bit closer than Randy Carricker. And so you are the winner of today's fight, and you will join us again for tomorrow's show.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Great job.
Congratulations, Jeff. Thank you so much for joining the show and joining the fight. Really quickly, the answers. It was, in fact, Matthew Stafford, the last QB to be selected number 1 overall and win the Super Bowl. Livan Hernandez was the third rookie to win the second rookie to win the World Series MVP. Larry Sherry of the Dodgers, Livan Hernandez, and then Jeremy Pena last season. On this day in 2007, the Cardinals tied the MLB record with 10 consecutive hits in an inning. Getting the first hit and the 8th hit were Braden Looper for the St. Louis Cardinals, and Shohei Ohtani third player since 1900 with a home run, a stolen base, and a scoreless pitching outing in the same game. Early 1900s pitcher Christy Mathewson, and an unlikely 21st century position player Pablo Sandoval did in fact do it. And then 16 was your answer for your first tiebreaker. Albert Pujols' career high in stolen bases, and then 67 for Nolan Gorman on the RBI.
And for those of you that are texting in and whining, I'm more than happy to set the rules so that we can have a pitch clock and we both get no options, or we can both get options. If you guys want to play, I can play it either way. If you're bothered.
Jeff started that fight in Florida. Yeah. He's in Georgia now.
Yeah, we need to. But if you want to have a, we can do. Why don't you put a poll up? So, what would you rather have? The way things are going currently, or that the listener and Randy get the exact same rules? We can do it either way.
Well, I think that would go poorly. I don't think it would go well at all.
There's a lot of people here who are saying that was fun to watch. Randy's unbelievably gifted. Fun to watch him work.
Oh man,
I love that.
Somebody also texted, "How did you not see this coming when you wrote that question?" It's like I write a lot of questions that have a lot of history in them, and we don't usually do that. But I like that we did it today. Got a little lesson in draft history. I appreciated it.
Somebody on the YouTube chat said, "All that for Randy to lose."
Oh man,
true. The Bird Watch is next on 101 ESPN. Hey, kids, the IndyCar Series is coming back to Worldwide Technology Raceway on Saturday, August 26th and Sunday, August 27th. If you like watching the cars and the stars of the Indy 500, they're coming here to St. Louis for their last oval race of the season. They'll be pushing 200 miles an hour down the straightaways, getting just a few inches off the wall and battling wheel to wheel. It's simply amazing to watch. And on Saturday, you can catch IndyCar practice and qualifying along with the Out Front Showdown for the next Indy Series, live music, and an incredible car show on the Midway. On Sunday, it's the Bommarito 500 for Indy cars, but the day kicks off with the Rumble Before the Roar pre-race party, vintage IndyCar cars, more music, and a huge Corvette car show. Plus, this year, the USAC Silver Crown Series battle it out for 100 miles just before the big race. It's a great weekend of racing, broadcast to a massive worldwide audience. You need to be there. Get your tickets at WWTRaceway.com, brought to you in part by Discover Downstate Illinois and the Illinois Office of Tourism.
field to give you the latest on your St. Louis Cardinals. This is Bird Watch on the opening drive.
All right, it is time for the Bird Watch. And Brooke, why don't you start things off for us?
My Bird Watch is going to be just a little bit of a minor league report. We talked earlier in the show about Mason when he exited Sunday's game in AAA Memphis due to a mild glute strain. And I know you guys want to say back, and technically maybe there's some back stuff involved, but they did say mild glute strain. He's just considered day-to-day. It seemed like it was more of a precautionary move with Mason Wynn on keeping out. But prior to that, he has been really dominant. Just an update on how he's doing. He's hitting .286 with 17 homers, 92 runs, 59 RBI, and 17 steals, or RBIs for CDs. CD over here. CDs. You see how I added the S just to make you happy. And also just an update on Ryan Helsley as he looks to return. He was in Springfield this past weekend. He pitched a scoreless 7th inning in his first rehab outing. So we will continue to watch that.
All right. Let's get him back. Let's get him back throwing 900 miles an hour in closing games for us.
You gotta get to that part, though.
Yeah.
The save part of it. Actually, give me a bird. I'm sorry.
Oh, he's getting a little birdie.
I was kind of debating going back and forth. I'm going to go with JoJo Romero. And I think I'm excited. I think he hasn't gotten any love yet from us. We talk about him, but probably not enough. A guy that is coming in middle relief at closing at times, has done a fantastic job, got his first victory of the season earlier in July, and then got a save late July. So he's done a very good job in the role that he has been asked to do. A much needed role, a lefty in the bullpen, doing a fantastic job, getting guys out, not allowing many hits. And so I hope he can continue what he's able to do for this season and for 2024.
Yeah, he looks like he's kind of found it, which is pretty cool.
And he has energy. I think that's the one thing that I enjoy from him. I mean, we get to play a child's game for a king's ransom, and he enjoys that. He's a guy that when he strikes a guy out, when he gets the save, he's showing you that passion. You need guys like that in your clubhouse because it's a fun game, and sometimes you can get lost in the mundane part of it, the day-to-day part of it, but you get an opportunity to play a professional sport, something you dreamed about as a kid. You should have fun doing it.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Guys, I like being generous. I like taking care of people, and I'm really glad that the Cardinals were able to help out our friends, the Colorado Rockies. You know, the Rockies, they did win a couple of road series in May. They won a couple of road series in June. They won a road series in July, and now they've won a road series in August as well. It's really good to know that a team that's 19-37 came into your series 17-36 on the road, that you're generous enough to provide them a little opportunity to take a happy flight. And that's exactly what the Rockies did last night with their 1-0 victory over the Cardinals. I love the generosity and the caring nature of our Redbirds.
I don't think that that's what they should be doing. I mean,
you don't think they should be nice?
Nah, it's good to be compassionate and caring and generous. But when you're trying to play a professional sport, you should try to win games. And other teams shouldn't feel happy when they leave to get on that plane to go to a different city or bus or whatever they're flying or riding in. You know, I don't think that they should be ecstatic about that.
Yeah, well, this is not good.
We've talked about the devil magic with the Cardinals. Is this just the opposite side of the devil magic? Where it's just not the good side.
What is this?
Yeah.
What is this?
I'm legitimately not angry about the 1-0 loss on Sunday because of Zach Thompson's start and because the offense is one thing that I can't find it in myself to worry about the Cardinals offense on a long-term trajectory. And Thompson was incredible if they finally gave him a start. So, it was negative. It was bad. You can't lose a series with the Rockies. But I'm not caring about wins and losses. So, honestly, seeing JoJo and Zach, I'm taking Sunday a little bit as a spiritual win. I'm sorry. I know it's a losing mentality, Kerry. I know. But you have to talk about the positives after the fact. I don't want to go in. I'm not going into the game saying I want to lose. But the game's happened.
No concern about 0 for 9 with runners in scoring position. No concern about leaving 15 players on base.
Again, I'm supposed to spend time worrying about this Cardinals offense? They aren't.
Probably not. Not now. I guess it is a little too little too late.
I don't think the Cardinals are worrying about the offense even after a game like that.
No. And they had 15 runners.
They had 15 runners. That's great.
There you go.
None of them, but you got to cross the plate. You got to go first, second, third, and then home.
Well, here's the thing, though.
I mean,
You need a
15 runners
season-high 15
awesome.
men on base is not good.
I mean, it's good, but you need just one of them to cross the plate to score a
you
run.
would like that ideally.
Preferably
But they
two
can't
of them
have
when
it
the other
happen
team
at the
only
same
had
time.
one.
Yeah, that's true. It's not an ideal situation here, so we're taking what we can get.
What are we? What?
There's your Birdwatch on 101 ESPN. Coming up, we've got our rush hour reset. All right, you're getting set to watch the kids go out for college, and you're going to be empty nesters and you want to downsize, or you've got a kid on the way and you want to upsize. Well, if you need to sell your current home to get into a new one, you need to get in touch with my friend Gloria Liu with Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Gloria's number is 314-325-6888, and she's going to make the process so simple for you. Her promise says it all. Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. She's mastered the home selling promise by guaranteeing upfront and in writing to sell your home at your agreed to price and time frame, or she'll buy it herself, and that's guaranteed. Does your agent compare? Gloria has solutions for every type of home seller. For sellers who want a fast sale with no hassles if you are going to buy a new home, Gloria's 24-hour cash offer solution is a great option to consider. No showings, no costly repairs, and you pick the closing date. You always get the highest cash offer bid from Gloria's database of buyers and what she calls her cash offer bid box. Gloria Liu, 314-325-6888, or visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com. It is 9:04 in the opening drive. Your time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler with Brooke Grimsley and Super Bowl champ Kerry Davis. I'm Randy Carricker, and it is great to have you with us, especially on the heels of the Cardinals almost winning yesterday. They only lost 1-0. And
I don't think they almost won, though.
Well, they did. They had 15, we just said they had 15 runners.
Yeah, none of them scored.
Season high.
Season high. Yeah, come on. We were right there. We were right there.
Good effort. Good try.
Yeah. And not only did the Cardinals turn in a good effort, a good try, but their starting pitcher, Zach Thompson, was a revelation. 4 innings. He struck out 8, walked only 1. He allowed a run, an earned run, and the only run of the game was scored on a sacrifice fly in the 3rd inning. But for his part, Thompson has a new approach, and that is he's kind of trying to emulate what one of the greatest of all time, Clayton Kershaw, has done. Has he actually watched tape of the way Kershaw goes about his business?
I would argue my slider might be my best command pitch. Clayton Kershaw has left a pretty good blueprint for fastball, curveball, slider, lefty. So just trying to follow his lead a little bit. Probably watched more Kershaw than any other pitcher in baseball for sure, yeah.
And that's a good thing when you're left-handed. And you've watched a lot of Kershaw and you have the same repertoire as him. Mm-hmm. Do what he does. If you can get close, if he could be 2/3 of the pitcher, half the pitcher that Clayton Kershaw is, that'd be great. You can make an argument that Clayton Kershaw is the best starting pitcher of all time if you want.
I will say for this to be his first start, it was exciting to see. And I think they were only expecting for him to pitch a couple of innings, but when you got 5 strikeouts in the first 2 innings, you kind of got to let it roll and see where this guy's going to go. And he ended up with 8 and 4. For me, that is what this Cardinals starting rotation has needed. They have needed guys with swing and miss stuff, and they've been a pitch to contact stuff. It's cool when you're able to put 3 infielders on one side of second base. Not so much anymore. So now the teams have been finding holes in their defense, and been a lot of hits, a lot of runs scored against this starting pitching against these relievers. And so to have a guy that can strike guys out was fun to see. It was the best part of the day. 15 men on base was not.
I feel like I was reading an article a little while ago about how Kendo, he always talked about what stood out to him most about what makes a great Major League Baseball player when he's evaluating talent is how they handle adversity. And I think that's something that just really stands out with Zach Thompson. As you mentioned earlier, CD, we don't know what he's saying behind the scenes, but all that matters is how he's able to rebound and perform out there. We all have seen how much he's been jerked around this season by the Cardinals. I mean, heck, even John Mozeliak admitted that they probably should approach and handle things differently moving forward, and he referenced the whole Zach Thompson situation. So the way that he's gone about his business and is able to bounce back in that way yesterday, it's encouraging, and I hope he can build off of that.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, this is a great opportunity for some of these younger pitchers. You got Dakota Hudson, you got Matthew Liberatore, Zach Thompson. It's an opportunity to solidify your spot in the rotation going into 2024 if you're able to perform well here down the stretch. I know the Cardinals in total aren't playing for anything other than their jobs, some of them, but this is an opportunity for those young players to say, hey, I deserve to be in that starting rotation once 2024 hits.
Yeah. The Yankees fell to the Astros again yesterday. Giancarlo Stanton went 0 for 6. Now, he got to play, actually, on the day after. He had a base running situation. Not dissimilar to the one that, well, actually, it was very dissimilar to the one that Tyler O'Neill had here in the first week of the season. This is the way things went for Stanton when he reached base with one of his 3 times on base for the Yankees on Saturday.
That one is served into right field. It is a base hit. Fielded by Dubon. Here comes Stanton. Here's the throw. Here's the play. And he is out. But they still got him.
I agree. This was even up the first baseline. I thought maybe he had a chance to score. There you see, wasn't running real well.
And apparently he just can't run real well. He got thrown out by like 20 feet.
I'm sorry. I think that is the definition of loafing it. I'm sorry. The Tyler O'Neill situation, when you compare the two,
not even close.
It's such a huge difference. That is the definition of loafing it. I thought the funniest video, I pulled it up for you guys, and you can look on the tube and see too. Somebody said, and here's Stan running around third, and it's Tony La Russa when he was the White Sox manager running out to the mound. It felt so slow, like in slow motion.
Yeah,
it was crazy looking.
Is he hurt?
He's
I don't
always
know
hurt.
what that is.
He's always hurt.
He wasn't. He was jogging. He should.
Is that even jogging?
That was a. It was. I don't know which is
That was
quicker, a
power
trot
walking.
or a jog. One is slower than the other. Whichever one is the slow. He's looking back like, well, are they sending me? Is he going to throw this home? Okay, all right. Well,
yeah, I have no idea. And it was.
He's got to be hurt.
It was not the best throw. It was up the line.
I would hope for his sake that's what it was.
He's got to be hurt. He didn't try to slide. He didn't try to make a play at the plate. Nothing. He just.
Yeah.
That
throw it up.
When we were playing football, that would be described as a loaf. Anytime you change speeds, if you were a defender, like if you were chasing down a guy and you sped up, that meant you were loafing to begin with, so that's a loaf.
Maybe he thought it was going to be a bad throw.
Maybe he didn't think he was going to be running at all.
Yeah.
Maybe he was
it looked like he didn't want to be in that situation is what it looked
He
like.
almost hurt himself as well trying to stop, which is dangerous also.
Just ran right into it.
He's running like he got a bad back.
I'll say this. How long do you think he might have had that?
About a week back.
No, that is too many in one day. Rocc, how many times has this happened today? Is this like the 5th time?
You want to talk about like genuine ones, or do we count the forced ones too? Because like that's I think that's the 3rd genuine one, but there was a forced one in there with a forearm strain or a glute strain. They tried to turn into a back strain.
Yeah, we've hit the allotment.
It's either 3 or 4 depending on how you want to count it.
No, it's glute strain. I'm gonna ignore human anatomy for a second.
By the way, and I always have liked Giancarlo Stanton as a player when he's playing. And I know Cardinal fans are up in arms over the fact that they traded Alcantara and Zach Gallen for Marcell Ozuna. But could you imagine if the Cardinals would have been able to do the deal for Stanton if he would have come here? And he's had seasons where he played 18 games and 23 games, played in 110 last year. He's only played in 62 this year. Can you imagine if the Cardinals would have acquired a guy that would have prevented them from getting Goldschmidt and or Arenado and was still on the team doing that, and Alcantara and Gallen were part of the deal?
Oh, that's terrible.
They got
that would be so bad.
They dodged a bullet with Stanton deciding to not come here.
Agree.
And I really wanted him to come here, but 2020 hindsight, they did dodge a bullet. And the reason that I really wanted him to come here was because he hit 59 homers and drove in 132 in the year before he got traded.
He's got like 400 home runs in his career. That's pretty good.
Yeah, he does. But, man, you got to play. And he has not played enough.
I said 395.
Yeah. Oh, I wonder if all the injuries will keep him out of the Hall of Fame. He's a nice player. But, it's he won an MVP, but probably not. Probably not a Hall of Famer. Hey, coming up here on 101 ESPN, which young starter, especially on the heels of yesterday, has the leg up for the number 5 spot in the 2024 Cardinal rotation? That's coming your way on 101 ESPN. Our friends at Chesterfield Fence and Deck are celebrating 55 years in business. And when you stick around for 55 years, that means you've done things right. Chesterfield Fence and Deck has an A-plus rating from the Better Business Bureau, as you might expect. They have great warranties on every project that they do. 5-year labor warranties and comprehensive material warranties also provided. And when you go to Chesterfield Fence and Deck right now, mention Randy and the opening drive and get 20% off your next installed outdoor project with Chesterfield Fence and Deck. For all of those years, they've been about people in St. Louis. They'll come out to your house. They'll provide a free, no-obligation project design, show you pictures of jobs that they've done, and whether you want a fence or a deck, maybe a sunroom or a screen room, maybe your deck converted into a sunroom or a screen room. Pergolas, they do great jobs on retaining walls. They do a fantastic job on everything they do. Chesterfield Fence and Deck is the company to get in touch with. Again, 55 years, locally owned and operated here in St. Louis. They're at ChesterfieldFence.com. You can call them at 800-300-4054. Chesterfield Fence and Deck, the sign you have the very best.
In all these guys' situations, they're pitching for the next 2 months to leave a mark. In other words, make an impression, a positive impression. Because, one of the things that you want to be careful of is trying to solve your problem just in these 2 months in terms of feeling where if guys perform well, that means we just don't have to do anything. I think the one thing that we have to take away from this past year and really just experience is just we need to add players that we can count on.
That is the Cardinal Pobo, John Mozeliak, yesterday on Sports on a Sunday Morning on KMOX with Tom Ackerman, with Brooke Grimsley and Kerry Davis. I'm Randy Carricker, and the Cardinals do have some depth now. I don't know if it's good depth, but they have depth in pitching. And let's start with the fifth spot in the roster, because we all agree that if the Cardinals don't go out and get a couple of free agent or trade starters, that it's going to be a failure in this offseason. You know that Michaelis is going to be the number 2, and you know that Matz is going to be the number 4, and you figure that somebody is going to be the number 5 that's already in the organization. So you have to go out and get a number 1, and you have to get a number 3. So the question is, based on where we are and what we know right now, who would you be inclined to say has the inside track to that fifth starter's job? The young pitcher from among Liberatore, Zach Thompson, Graceffo, Rom, whose name should be CD, by the way, or somebody else. Is there somebody else that you could envision stealing that number 5 job next year?
I think Rom is going to be an interesting one. We have to wait until we figure out what's going on with the injury with him and when he will be will we be able to see him? But it seems like somebody that could possibly be slated as that 5th starter. But Zach Thompson, and CD, I know you're going to touch on this, is very impressive if he's going to be able to continue to build off this. I think that would be a great option to have as your 5th starter. Matthew Liberatore, they're going to continue to give him chances to see how that works out. And maybe that's kind of your somewhat, I'm going to put in air quotes, 6th starter. I don't want people to get freaked out because we talked about 6 starters going into the season, but in that starting rotation depth, maybe Matthew Liberatore can start to turn things around here and gain some more confidence. But if we're talking about right now, as of today, with those options, because as I mentioned, Rom, with the injury, Zach Thompson, I think, possibly has a good chance to really build up to that.
I mean, we talked about what Zach Thompson did in his last start yesterday. I thought that was amazing. It was really, really good for him because we're looking to figure out which one of these young players is going to be, I guess, the 5th starter. And I don't know if it's a TK Roby, who just got traded over from Baltimore. He might be the guy. He's one of the top prospects in the league and in the Cardinals organization. So maybe that's a guy. Maybe it's a guy we haven't seen yet, but based on just the opportunities presented down the stretch here, somebody of those 3 that are here right now, Liberatore, Dakota Hudson, and Zach Thompson, one of those 3 are going to get a lot of opportunities to prove themselves down the stretch and put themselves in the lead for that 5th spot. And hopefully it's just the 5th spot and not a 4th and 5th spot where the Cardinals are only going out to get one extra pitcher in free agency. Hopefully they're going to get 2 guys. But Randy, would you be surprised at all if your rotation is Michaelis, Matz, Zach Thompson, and one of those other guys, Roby, Graceffo, McGreevy, and then they go out and go get one ace?
Wouldn't surprise me.
It wouldn't surprise me
I feel
at
like
all.
they need 2. They still,
definitely do.
even though we're talking about, I know.
It is you are correct. They do need 2.
Yeah, and that's what would make me feel more comfortable. It's fine if one of them comes via a trade this offseason, which I think is something they should do, and the other one via free agency. And then we can start talking about things after that, because somebody texted in, why do we have to assign these numbers to pitchers? Why does that matter? Why do you guys think that matters? Because you need that certified ace. You need that 1 and 2. We've talked about it over and over again. The teams who go further in the playoffs, what do they have in their starting rotation?
Got a number 1 starter. Why do you think that the Astros and Rangers were so hot, even with good pitching, so hot after Verlander and Scherzer?
You need those guys.
Yeah.
You have to have those guys. And Randy, I was one of the people that it probably didn't really dawn on me. Like, I always knew pitching was important, right? But it didn't really strike me until I watched the World Baseball Classic, and I watched Shohei Ohtani just mow down all elite. You can watch it in the All-Star game, but it's not the same. Guys are trying, but they're having fun. That World Baseball Classic was guys really giving great effort for their country, trying to win games, and you saw Shohei say, no. Not going to happen, not today, not tomorrow, not ever, against some of the best hitters in the world. And that's when it hit me, yeah, we need pitching. Every team needs elite pitching at the top of their rotation.
Yes, they really do. I think another name just to watch, I feel like we should mention because he did great on Friday in Memphis, is Adam Kloffenstein. Did you guys see what he was able to do this weekend?
Kloff, yeah.
Tossing 5 innings, allowing 1 run. He struck out 6. Now, Rocc and I were discussing this. Do you see him more staying as a starter or as a reliever?
The Blue Jays, he was one of their top prospects as a starter, and he was actually ahead of Alex Manoah. And then he got hurt, Kloffenstein did, and that's when Manoah took off. And now Manoah hasn't been great this year, but last year he was second in the Cy Young voting. So if an organization as adept as the Blue Jays has him as a starter, I want to see him as a starter. And by the way, I want to try everybody as a starter. I think that the lack of definition for Zach Thompson is a pox on the Cardinals.
Yes.
You needed to keep him in a rotation somewhere, whether it's here or in Memphis, and keep him a starter. Same thing with Liberatore. I think they really may have messed up with Genesis Cabrera by never giving him an opportunity to start. And there's a reason the starters are making $43 million and the best relievers are making $20.
Yep.
Because you want to have great starters. So I'm going to go recency bias and go with Zach Thompson as well. I still think that Liberatore is going to get an opportunity, and it depends, obviously, but we're talking about right now where we go. I would go Thompson, and then I would still be inclined to look at Liberatore because he's got the stuff. It's just a matter of getting it out of him at the major league level. For whatever reason, they're able to down in Memphis. And like I said last week, I think the phone call needs to be made. Hey, how do you maximize Matthew Liberatore? Let's see if we can do that up here with the major league level. But then in the bullpen, it's going to be hard to fill out. I don't know if Andre Palante is back. I think a lot of these kids that the Cardinals got in the trades at the deadline will wind up being in the bullpen, and it'll make for a more fungible pen next year because you can send guys out and call them up. You don't have a bunch of guys. One of the problems you have with people like Chris Stratton and Cabrera, I think Cabrera did have an option left, but you have too many pitchers that didn't have options left. So you didn't have enough flexibility down there.
Bullpen depth is very important because what it felt like we saw that this season where there's times where it's like, where do you go into the pen?
Right. And because
who do you go with?
Yeah, because nobody ever goes more than 5 innings anymore.
And then again, I think the best, starting rotation, the best overall pitching staff includes young guys in that bullpen having an opportunity. They don't have the pressure of being everyday starters, every fifth-day starters. They can learn from some of the veterans. They can, go in the non-high leverage situations or learn and work their way up to high leverage situations, which will eventually prepare them to be starters in the long run. I think that's the best way to go about it. It's kind of that maturation that they gain from being in the bullpen, learning every single day, and just watching. That, to me, would be the best way for the Cardinals to go.
Agree 100%, but the Cardinals don't do that. It's like Zach Thompson, the perfect example. You could have had him in the bullpen all year this year and said, okay, you're going to be a starter next year. But then you kind of jerked him around and sent him down.
And what's the purpose of that? Like, what do you gain from not having information given to your players, the correct information? Because the only thing I think you gain is players not trusting you. And when it comes down time to re-sign, to decide whether or not I want to spend the rest of my career here, that trust goes a long way, as well as that lack of trust going a long way. And so if you're not being honest and open and upfront with guys, players can accept whatever you tell them as long as you tell them the truth. And they may not agree with it, but they'll accept it. But when you go back and forth and don't give them a clear, concise direction of what it is they need to do, it becomes a bit frustrating.
Well, and especially with a kid like that, because he could have pitched out of the bullpen all year long, like he did, or like Adam Wainwright did in 2006, and then prepare yourself to be a starter. In an offseason, you can prepare yourself to be a starter. He didn't need to go down and stretch, Zach Thompson I'm speaking of, to stretch himself out to be a starter for 2024. He could have pitched out of the bullpen all year here and then prepared himself during the offseason, and he lost essentially a year of service time.
Exactly.
And that may be what it is more than anything.
You better think he's going to be really good. If you're going to do that, you better think he's going to be pretty good. So, but we don't know. And hopefully the Cardinals will fix things because they've got some things to fix. Next up, we're going to talk a little bit more about the Cardinal pitching staff and how big of a task this is for Mo and Gersh in the front office.
Hey everyone, it's Brooke here. This summer, I'm taking up a new hobby, one that I know will last a lifetime, and that is golfing. And I'm learning at the best spot in town. That is Family Golf and Learning Center. I've always wanted to learn how to golf, but was really just intimidated, and I thought it would just be too hard to learn. And I didn't know where to even start. But after my first couple of lessons with RJ, Melissa, and the wonderful staff over at Family Golf and Learning Center, I was actually able to hit it straight and most importantly, just feel comfortable out there. I went out there recently and RJ just really took the time to break things down for me and gave me some homework. That's what they do there at Family Golf and Learning Center. With several pros on staff, they have the ability to help anyone with their golf game. Like if you're just like me, starting out, or you want to improve your game. They provide a friendly and encouraging practice experience for the individual and for the family. All abilities and ages are welcome. So join me on this golf journey today. For more information, go to familygolfonline.com. Learn, practice, play your best golf.
This is Rocky with your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. Cardinals dropped 2 of 3 against the Rockies, including a 1-0 loss yesterday. They got 8 hits, but they stranded 15 runners and went 0 for 9 with runners in scoring position. The pitching, though, was a little bit of a bright spot. Again, only 1 run from the Rockies. Zach Thompson with the start, 4 innings pitched, 2 hits, that 1 earned run, 1 walk, and then 8 strikeouts. Jojo Romero, in 2 innings pitched of relief work, had 4 strikeouts as well. Cardinals off today before they start a 3-game series against the Rays tomorrow. That is your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff. Find your roads and shop 24/7 at londoff.com and londoffautoplex.com. Are you kidding me?
Well, I think we're going to have to look at all viable options. So, what that looks like in the trade market. Obviously, it would probably be a little bit easier to address just more in the free agent market because you're not subtracting. But I think we just have to remain open-minded. We know we have holes to fill, and I don't think it's as daunting as people think. I mean, you're always going into the offseason knowing that there's some areas where you're trying to improve, and this year it's from a standpoint of simplicity, we know we have to add pitching, and it's just not rotational depth. It's also going to be in the bullpen. So I think as we get past the World Series and can open up that market, that's something that we're going to have to be very aggressive in, and hopefully we're able to fill those needs.
John Mozeliak yesterday on KMOX on Sports on a Sunday morning, and that sounds to me like if it's not daunting that the Cardinals, and tell me, Brooke and Carrie, if you agree with this, have already made the decision to change philosophically about swimming in the deep waters of starting pitching where you're spending $30 million a year.
Does it sound like they are willing to do that?
Well, if it's not a daunting task, because that's what players react to is money.
Yeah, no question.
Right?
Yes.
Then if they're going to go into free agency and it's not a daunting task, that tells me that they're prepared to spend money.
I would think that that's what that sounds
Aaron
like
Nola.
Until
or Shohei.
We get to well, no, I don't go that far.
Ooh,
that's going to cost more
why
than $30
not?
million.
It's not that daunting, right?
That is much more daunting than Aaron Nola.
But then you throw in the free zoo. You can't put a price tag on that, literally.
You can't.
Yeah.
But I don't think that that's going to be the main thing that brings Shohei here. It couldn't get messy here.
Lars.
You great friends are hard to find. However, I still don't think we've done enough.
We need to introduce Shohei to the Nutty Neuters of Newt Nation.
Oh, the Nutty Neuters of Newt Nation?
Who, by the way, have come up with an interesting fact over the weekend.
Oh, no. I'm not even going to bring that up. If you want to bring it up, nope, you can do it.
Lars Newbar is better than Willie Mays.
People will. I did not bring up this fact. I'm avoiding it because somebody did a stat comparison, and I'm not going to say it because then people are going to be like, Brooks being crazy.
You are not.
It was not. I was not the one that created
this. You
are
100% right.
But somebody, Cardinal Stats and Facts, which is a great Twitter account to follow.
Yep.
And they did a stat comparison of the first 3 seasons.
Yep. First 3 seasons for Willie Mays, 716 plate appearances, 263 average, 347 on base, 450 slug for a 797 OPS. Lars Newbar, 815 plate appearances, more. 250 average versus 263, 352 on base, better. 441 slug versus 450, 793 OPS versus 797 for Mays. Essentially the same guy.
So yeah, I don't want to see. I don't want to see any more text messages about how overrated Lars Newbar. What's wrong, CD? You think it's too early to compare? Is that what you're saying?
Carrie, I got some more facts for you. Ready for this one?
Oh, no.
Ready for this one? Across their first 3 MLB seasons, Lars Newbar has a 250 batting average compared to Barry Bonds' 258. His on base is a 352 compared to Barry Bonds' 343. His slug is 441 compared to Barry Bonds' 471. His OPS plus is 120 compared to Barry Bonds' 123. I mean, either Willie Mays or Barry Bonds, I'll take it.
Are we going to leave out that in Willie Mays' third year he hit 345, had an OPS of 1.078, and was the MVP? We're gonna leave that. We're just gonna skip that and play.
We cherry pick our stats here. We cherry pick.
Are we gonna just bypass that? We're not gonna. And 41 home runs.
As you know, I'm a big sample size kind of guy.
Well, we're going year to year, right? We're going third year.
3 years.
Yeah. This is the third year for Lars. Is he MVP candidate?
Well, not quite yet.
Top 25.
He will be. But you know what? He's a much better guy.
You think?
Yeah, he's a sweetheart. He smiles. He cheers his teammates on.
He does do that well. I don't think he's Willie Mays.
Okay, well,
I don't think.
Anyway, back to the daunting task of getting starting pitching and a bullpen.
Back to that thing.
Would you guys be comfortable if next year's 8-man bullpen to start the season came from a group of players that are already in the Cardinal organization? Or do you think that they need to go out and get a reliever somewhere, especially with the departure of Jordan Hicks?
If it's not that daunting, why not? Right? If it's not that daunting to go out and get some starting pitching, then you maybe should get some relievers as well. I think that maybe you've added some guys into your system, but as we know, the likelihood of all those prospects making it to the majors is pretty low across the board. But I don't think it hurts to get some more depth because whatever you need to do to not be in this same situation, because it was the pitching staff as a whole this season that just greatly suffered.
Who are we looking at so we talked a lot about the starting rotation, and we'll see if they go out and add to that via free agency. Who are we looking at in the bullpen coming back for 2024?
I just had that written down.
Because I think I think JoJo Romero has
he's in.
solidified his role.
He has.
Yeah.
You probably got Ryan Helsley as your closer once healthy.
I would think so. Yep.
Giovanni Gallegos is your third guy that is in there. Those three.
John King.
John King, Matthew Lewis.
John? You mean John?
John King.
Liberatore.
If he's not if he's not a starter.
And then one of the guys that the Cardinals really counted on this year, Wilking Rodriguez.
Oh, yeah, they did count on him, right?
Yep. He got hurt.
That's where the season went downhill.
I thought it was the World Baseball Classic.
So
that was a big inning, all right?
And then I wonder if Rom could be a reliever if he's not a starter.
Yeah, I think so. I could see
that.
that.
So the bullpen is going to look vastly different than what it looks like.
I think it will,
right
but
now.
I wish the Cardinals would go out and get a veteran stabilizing force. A guy like, and he doesn't have to be a closer, but Jason Isringhausen was a leader of a young bullpen. Russ Springer was a leader of a young bullpen. I wish, and I don't know who you get. Maybe Joe Kelly, bring him back home, but bring a relief pitcher home that has winning experience and knows how to prepare as a reliever and get people to slow their heartbeats down.
Well, it makes a lot of sense, too, to your point, Randy, because what did we hear from Nolan Arenado this season about how young this team is, where you need more of that veteran experience, and you're going to be losing Adam Wainwright, which I know that we've talked about his performance earlier. It hasn't been great this season, but his leadership in there. And then Jack Flaherty, wasn't he one of your most tenured guys also, and he's gone. So having a voice in there that kind of helps steady that bullpen amongst the pitching staff too, just to have that, I think would be a huge benefit. Also, what about Tink Hintz? I know I just talked about veterans and their importance, but what do you think about Tink Hintz and seeing him possibly next season?
I think at some point you probably see him, and I wonder how far Graceffo has been set back by the injuries and whether or not McGreevy, we haven't even brought up McGreevy as a possible fifth starter, but I wonder if Hence winds up being a part of that Memphis rotation next year.
You know what's going to be important for us to get our research in is going down to spring training and spending a few days seeing these guys in person so that we can really get a good eye on them and have a better understanding. Talking about us personally going down there and seeing them in person so that we can really give you the intricate details of how well they're performing and how they'll look for this 2024 season.
I think that's great.
I think that's really important for us to make that happen.
Yes, I agree, Carrie. I mean, especially in the warm weather, just enjoying that.
I mean, you know,
taking it in.
Being there in spring training is just a different vibe and feel with the team.
Yeah.
You know, you get to notice some things that you may not notice in the rigor of a regular season. It's just a little different time for the players, and I think we'll learn a lot about this team if we are able to. And then we can give you all great insight into what we learned.
You know what is interesting about Tink Hintz this year is that in 16 games, 16 starts, I don't know if this is him or them, they've never allowed him to go more than 5 innings in a game. He has gone 5 innings in a game 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times in 16 starts, but never more than 5. I wonder what his expectation is as he traverses the system. I wonder if he ever expects to go more than 5 innings.
That's an interesting thing.
Another
thing we could ask him during spring training too.
We can,
we can take a deeper dive into that in Jupiter.
Agree.
But I don't know. Is that just more of like a Cardinals pitching philosophy thing, or?
Well, the philosophy is going to change, I think.
Is it?
If you have more swing and miss stuff, you're going to be pitching more pitches because strikeouts cost. I mean, it's going to cause you to throw at least 3 pitches an inning. So you're going to throw more pitches. And I think guys are going to have to go deeper in games. I think the philosophy that they have tried or have had over the, I guess, past decade or so is coming to an end. And so getting guys that can strike people out, keep runners off of base, and I think that's more of what they're going to be looking for or what they need going forward. And I think if they do that, guys are going to have more opportunities to pitch their way out of situations. Hopefully.
I would think so. But hopefully you can have some efficiency. There was a guy that pitched over the weekend, went 6 innings. He struck out 6. He walked 1 and threw only 80 pitches and got a win.
Framber, didn't Valdez just throw a no-hitter throwing like 80-something pitches?
Yeah. a guy named Jordan Montgomery for the
Where's
Rangers?
he from? I've heard of him
familiar.
before.
Yeah.
He was...
Yeah, 6 innings, 6 hits.
He was a Yankee. He was a Yankee.
That's right. Yeah,
Okay,
drafted by the Yankees.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember him.
Yeah, struck out 6, walked 1, and threw 80 pitches. Wow. 56 for strikes.
Wow. He's
6 innings.
He's dealing, huh?
Yeah.
You think he only 80 pitches? Do you think he wanted to stay in, maybe?
I'm guessing that he probably did, but
they probably
first time starting there. Let him relax.
They probably talked to him and let him know that we're gonna pull you here because I think this will be the best. Just kind of ease you into our system.
Yeah,
you know what's
and the
going
team
on.
won the game 6-2.
What?
Yep.
He's pretty good, huh? He's a lefty, right? Big guy.
Yeah, big left-hander.
He's
a horse,
6'5",
man.
6'6",
230.
Yeah.
Big fella.
You let guys like that throw.
Oh, yeah.
100, 105, 110 if they need to.
How cool would it be if the Cardinals could get a guy like that?
If we had a guy like that, Randy, I don't think we would be in the position that we're in right now.
You're right.
If we had that guy specifically.
And you let him pitch?
Let him eat.
Yep.
Do his thing.
We're terrible. Coming up, Rocc and Roll on 101 ESPN.
Hey everyone, it's Brooke here. This past winter, my father went through hip and then back surgery. After being active his whole life, biking and competing in triathlons, as he got older, the wear and tear led to constant pain and limited mobility. But finally, after getting surgery this past winter, he is back to moving around pain-free. He even visited here recently and he was able to get around great. He says that he wishes he would have done it sooner. You might be in a similar situation, just continuing to put it off, but anyone who has suffered from serious back or joint pain knows how hard it can be to find lasting relief. Here's the thing, though. You don't have to live in pain. You can find that relief at SSM Health Orthopedics. They are the experts at diagnosing and treating joint problems, offering many treatment options, including non-surgical techniques to find the best solution for you so you can get back to doing the things that you love. So don't wait today. Visit SSM Health/Top Ortho for more information and to find lasting relief.
and roll.
Let's rock. Let's rock today.
All right, Matthew, what do you got for us?
Well, first of all, I want to give everyone the results of our YouTube poll. And if you ever want to get involved, we throw up the polls from time to time. You just want to watch on the YouTube at 101 STL on YouTube. And the question was, if it meant a no-doubter number one starting pitcher, would you consider trading Jordan Walker? The no's came in at 57%. The are you out of your minds at 16%. And the yeses at 26%. So it didn't really change from earlier in the show. We had about 3/4 of the people saying pretty much absolutely not on that one. And then you heard John Mozeliak. It's going to be easier to, sign somebody on the free agent market. So why are you even worrying about trading Jordan Walker, right?
Don't need to worry about it.
Don't worry about it.
We all learned that Nolan Gorman has 67 RBI. I don't know if I want to trade that RBIs.
I know that there is in the analytics industry, they don't like to assign numbers to pitchers. And I think this is probably the old, the argument about everybody getting a participation trophy, right? Some people don't want to have, some people be better than others.
Yeah, that's not how life works, though.
No. And so, texter, and we always appreciate the texters that text in to 314-399-9646, 314-399. Yo-ho! Thank you very much for the text. But he said, your ace pitcher is the guy pitching on that particular day. Assigning numbers is ridiculous. Well, here's my thing. And I just texted back to him, with all due respect. And I said that I asked him who he would rather have starting for him between Aaron Nola or Johan Oviedo. I think if I were going to have those two pitchers, I would certainly have Aaron Nola slotted higher than Johan Oviedo.
Which means he would get paid more?
Yeah, and he would be, for example, if those two were the only two on a staff, he would be one and Oviedo would be two. That's all I'm thinking.
Yeah, that's...
Which would make him the ace?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But that doesn't matter, CD. No.
Just wondering. I don't know.
So anyway,
I think those contracts are definitely different.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
we do appreciate you participating in the show. And the great thing about sports is that we can all have differing opinions, and then we can walk away smiling, and nobody gets killed.
Exactly. And the text line is, well, we're not.
Somebody might get punched in the face.
Punched in the face.
We're not Giants or Dodgers fans, so.
Come on, man.
I'm sorry. Do brawls not routinely break out in the parking lots of those games? Am I wrong?
It's too soon.
Am I wrong? It happens all the time. It's a problem in baseball. It's been happening for 15 years or for 40 years.
That's why you have a classy rivalry like the Chicago Cubs and St. Louis Cardinals.
Right, yeah. Nobody ever gets hurt in that one.
No.
I mean, you get a little beer poured on you sometimes. It happens. Heckled a little bit. Speaking of getting heckled a little bit, we talked earlier about Eli Drinkwitz. We all agreed some pretty good comments about the issue.
He was profound. Don't sugarcoat this.
There it is.
It was profound.
He did a good job.
I don't want to be the one to say it because
he did a good job.
Doesn't mean a lot coming from me.
Tip my cap to him.
Well, Jimbo Fisher went a slightly similar way that Drinkwitz did, but the context around it's a little bit different. Yesterday, Jimbo Fisher on conference realignment. Unfortunately, we're in a time now that everybody is fighting over the dollar. Now, the context is that Jimbo Fisher has a $95 million contract to coach college football, and last year in 2022, by far and away, the team with the most NIL payments in college football, Texas A&M. Little hypocritical from Jimbo Fisher. Not shocking that he's being a hypocrite, but nonetheless, the fact that he just comes out and puts it on Front Street every time is a little shocking to me.
I think he liked it when he was the only one paying a lot of money, and the money, they didn't have to talk about it. It was just a thing. But now that everybody's talking about money, well, I hate that everybody's talking about money.
What are we doing here? Well, why is everybody on the same playing field?
He has the most well-played team. And he is the most well-paid coach. And he's like, this is just all about money now.
And it didn't give them a championship. So what does that tell you?
It doesn't
Jimbo
matter.
Fisher's not a good coach.
Yeah. It didn't even give him a 500 record.
Jimbo Fisher.
He's a better coach when he has
a championship.
Yeah, he did.
He's better when he has Jameis Winston.
Yeah, he does. Finger-licking Jameis Winston, that guy.
Hey, brother, well, hold on here.
Eat a W.
Don't denigrate my guy. Because I love crab legs, too. No, I like them better when they're free.
No. We can't do that, guys.
You're not walking into a store and just grabbing them, are you?
Just walk out.
No.
They told him he could have them, Randy. You guys missed that part. He told him, just come get them and leave. And so he's...
Oh, yeah. That always happens in stores.
See, the thing is, he went in there with street clothes. He should have gone there with his jersey. Then they would have known who he was.
Probably shouldn't have done that.
By the way, speaking of street clothes, Anthony Davis got a big extension over the weekend. 3 years, $186 million tacked onto his contract. That's $62 million AAV. So that's about $1 million. That's about like $2 million per game he's going to play.
God
bless. So 150 games, right? 3 years?
Yeah.
Too about that, yeah.
He's going to miss. He's going to miss. Yeah, I see what you did there. About 30 games
a year.
31 games a year.
Yeah.
It would be $1 million. It pretty much would be like 750,000 per game if he played every game. So I'm saying about $1.5 million per game. So Street Clothes gets a big extension.
Good for him, man. Guys get their money. I'm all for it.
NBA contracts are just, I will never get over how insane they are.
Jaylen Brown.
Yes.
$300 million.
I wish I was a little bit
Holy
taller.
cow.
I wish I was.
How did this happen?
Yeah.
Shoot the three, kids. Shoot the three.
If you can. Shoot them if you got them.
Yep.
And if you're 6'10", you just kind of like lightly block shots here and there. Don't get yourself
Don't
exert yourself too much.
Yeah.
Don't exert yourself.
No. Don't go too hard now.
Yeah.
Just coast.
Well, and here's the thing, and I think the league is still this way. I think especially for an American, 7 foot white American, just be able to walk and chew gum.
That helps.
Yeah. If you can do that, you're making like $7 million a year on the end of a bench waving a towel.
Easy.
Yep.
It's good. But you got to get to the 7 feet. That's the hard
There's a
part.
stat. I think like
that's hard.
18% of everybody in the world that's 7 foot plays in the NBA.
Really?
One out of 5 7-footers.
What else are they doing? You think playing volleyball?
Yeah, volleyball. Yeah.
Randy, here's why it's a bad contract though, because again, you just said it. You're going to pay $62 million for Anthony Davis. I'm going to pay $6 million, and when my guy hacks Anthony Davis twice, Anthony Davis is going to be out of the game.
He's going to be out of the game.
He's going to break.
That's a shame.
It's unfortunate.
Feels bad.
Sorry,
yeah.
AD.
Sorry.
Wish you well, though.
Yep. Hey, if you haven't gotten tickets yet, tomorrow Isaac Bruce and Torrey Holt are going to be at the Ascension Charity Classic breakfast over at Norwood, and you can still get tickets. Just go to the Ascension Charity Classic website, ascensioncharityclassic.com, and we got great stories out of Isaac and Torrey in 15, 20 minutes last week, and they're going to be there for an hour or so tomorrow, more than an hour. So if you want to relive some of the greatest show on turf stuff and hear those guys who have a well-deserved ego about their pairing, it's really cool.
Do not tell them they're number 9.
No.
That's why if you buy the ticket and see them, do not say they're number 9.
Or do so at your own peril.
There you go.
Yeah.
I mean, it was great stories that came out of it.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
They don't need to be humble.
Yeah, and it'll be fun tomorrow over at Norwood, and then there's going to be a Pro-Am. I think the Pro-Am might be full, but I'm not sure. But you can check that out and that's at Glen Echo, but you can check that out at Ascension Charity Classic as well. Great job today by our producer and audio engineer, Matthew Rocchio.
Pleasure.
By the way, is McKernan here today?
Yes, he will be out on Thursday and Friday. Dan McLaughlin will be filling in for him on Thursday and Friday from 10 to 11.
Good.
Nice.
Yeah.
Brooke, happy Monday.
Yes. Happy Monday, everybody.
Yeah. And you say thumbs up, go see Barbie.
Go see Barbie.
Yeah. I will go see Barbie. CD? It's raining. Do you coach kids in the rain? Do you make them?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, if it's not lightning, it's,
okay.
If it's pouring down, it depends on what we got going on.
Do kids these days like to practice in the mud?
Yeah, they don't mind.
Okay, good.
Yeah, they still kids. They children.
Good,
like to slide and play in the rain. I love it. Don't get in my car. Get on the bus, or you have your parents come pick you up.
We thank you for tuning in, texting in, and being a part of the show for all of us. Until tomorrow morning at 7. Have a great day, St. Louis.
That's right.